You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Wake up with Word and Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. You can, of course, also listen to us at WURDradio.com in clear digital sound and, of course, on your app, on your phone, your WURD app. You can listen to us there as well. But the big news today is Kawaisa's back.
Hey!
What's up?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. How was your vacation?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Good.
It was great. I did some bucket list things. Went parasailing.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that with my mom,
Okay.
so I'll show you the video later.
Yeah. I would
was
love
fun.
to see it. Now, if I do it, I'm going to have to do it by myself because Levita's like, nah, we ain't.
It was so much
I'm
fun,
not.
though.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to do it by myself. Either that or with my son. Like, me and him are the ones who do stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I'm glad you got, I'm living vicariously through you because I'm here dead tired because I stayed up last night watching the Philadelphia Eagles get their butts kicked up and down the field, Kawaisa. I don't understand why they do this to us. I think they must hate us. I don't understand it. There's no explanation for these guys, man, and what they did last night. The Eagles lost to the Cowboys on national TV last night, embarrassing all of us because they just looked unprepared to play. So in the interest of helping my home team, here's my advice. Carson Wentz, you trying to do too much. Stop. Get the ball to your playmakers and let them do their jobs. Doug Peterson, sit Nelson Aguilar. He's not even trying to catch the ball. Howie Roseman, get a cornerback. Jalen Mills should not be trying to cover the other team's best receiver. Jim Schwartz, get a linebacker in there with some weight on him. Nate Gary looks like a stick man in the middle of your defense. That's crazy. And fans, get ready for basketball season. I hear Ben Simmons been working on his jump shot. That's right, y'all. I'm talking about practice. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. National renowned civil rights lawyer Benjamin Crump on his new book, Open Season. Lawyer and critical race theorist Tim Golden on the firing of a school security officer who dared to tell a student not to call him the N-word. Pete Wilson on a program that's turning around Mantua and needs to go citywide. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065 or toll free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at forward. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, a black security officer at a Wisconsin high school was fired for telling a student who is also black to stop calling him the N-word. The firing of Marlon Anderson from West High School in Madison, Wisconsin prompted some students to walk out in protest on Friday and for school officials to say they will re-examine policies on the use of racial slurs in schools. Anderson told NBC News on Friday that after a black student repeatedly called him the N-word, he asked the student to stop. Anderson said school officials terminated his employment, citing a zero-tolerance policy on the use of derogatory language by staff members. Now, Anderson's son, Noah, is the president of the Black Student Union at the school. I wonder if there's some backlash about that. Some of the teachers also walked out with the students to protest this guy's firing, which was ridiculous. Kawaisa, don't make no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It's definitely ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is that, the student's black, he's black. I'm not really understanding this. I'm not really getting it. And, at the end of the day, he's defending himself. He's telling him not to call him that. So I don't even understand the basis or the premise of why he would have been fired in the first place. So, I get that it's a word that we should not be using, but at the same time, come on.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
You got to have some kind of leeway. And that's why I hate zero tolerance policies. They're stupid because there is always some room for your judgment. You have to make judgment calls. This was stupid. It does not make sense. And it's so bad that Cher stepped in and said, if you decide to sue this school district, I will pay your legal fees. This is ridiculous, man. Anybody with two eyes can see it. And speaking of anybody with two eyes being able to see, let's talk about Trump. Yup, he reportedly decided to reverse plans to hold the Group of Seven summit at his Florida Gulf resort after Republicans told him they would not be able to support his decision. GOP lawmakers told Trump they would not be able to defend his plan to host the gathering of global leaders at his property in Doral, especially after having to face questions regarding his ties with Ukraine and his decision to pull U.S. troops from Syria. And here's the thing, right? So the Republicans say to him, look, man, this is the one thing we can't back. You done backed him on racism. You done backed him on locking kids up. You done backed him on having those kids unable to shower, unable to use the bathroom. Border guards tell them drink toilet water. You done backed him on all kinds of stuff. But this, having a G7 summit at your own place, no, this we can't back. No, y'all should have been told him you can't back him because he wouldn't have done some of the stupid stuff that you backing now, knowing that you shouldn't be. This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. But what about all of the other things that he was doing as far as using his properties and his businesses to get financial gain while he's been the president?
That's what
So
I'm
why
saying.
is this the one thing that's the kind of straw that's breaking the camel's back? Like,
Yeah.
y'all should have been against this. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad y'all are getting a backbone, but it's a little too late.
It's a little bit too late. People are actually dying in Syria right now because of the decisions this guy has made, and you have said nothing. And the only thing you guys you gonna speak up about is, look, man, you can't have this thing at your own place. This is ridiculous. Y'all need to be accountable. Speaking of being accountable, story number 3. This weekend in Philadelphia, a 2-year-old boy was shot in the head and he died. Just the day before, an 11-month-old baby was shot 4 times and lived. And while my prayer is that something, anything good can come from this assault on our children, reality says prayer is not enough. We have to do something. We cannot allow criminals to be so comfortable that they kill our kids without fear. We can't allow politicians to offer thoughts and prayers when what we really need is action. We can't allow guns to spray street corners with bullets till our blood fills the street like rivers. We have to do something. And since we're afraid to call the cops because they might shoot us in our own homes, since we're in a place where criminals seem to matter more than victims, since we're too proud to admit we can't fix it by ourselves, since we're too selfish to care unless violence strikes our homes, we have to scrap everything we tried before and start this thing over from scratch. Stop giving public money to nonprofits that promise to stop the violence and they haven't worked. They probably won't. Stop thinking the cops should solve this by themselves. They shouldn't have to, not if we don't. Stop waiting on the government to sweep in and solve your problems. They never have. They never will. But we can no longer sit still. We have to do something. First, we have to acknowledge that we've allowed this thing to get to this point. Because if we keep talking about what they need to do, we will never hold ourselves to account. And changing things requires accountability. If you know how to get that young boy in the corner a job and you do nothing, you're accountable. If you could have gotten to know your neighbors and you didn't, you're accountable. If you know there are criminals in your midst and you say nothing, you're accountable. Because fixing this problem will require us to get jobs for those who want to work, to build communication among neighbors, to find cops we can trust, and to tell what we know to save our kids. Ain't nobody coming to fix your family. You got to do it. Ain't nobody coming to fix your neighborhood. You got to do it. Ain't nobody coming to protect your kids. You got to do it. Bottom line, we have to do something. Because when we don't, it can cost our kids their lives. I want to hear from you. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning show. The bottom line is this, man. An 11-month-old and a 2-year-old was shot this weekend. Do you still think we should stop snitching? 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook, and we're at 4Word on Facebook. You can watch us live there, and you can weigh in there and let us know where you are on this conversation this morning as well. An 11-month-old shot 4 times in Philadelphia. A 2-year-old shot dead in Philadelphia. One of these shootings, of course, took place in Kensington. And the bottom line for me, when I look at what's happening in Kensington, is simply this. It's all driven by the drugs. I mean, so any solution to what is happening in Kensington has to be about getting the drugs out of that neighborhood, not keeping them there. And that's why when I talk about the issue of safe injection sites, okay, y'all talking about saving lives, let's save the life of this 2-year-old. Let's save the life of this 11-month-old. Let's save the life of the people who live in that neighborhood, pay taxes, own property, have a commitment to our city. Let's save their lives. Because as long as you keep the drugs there, as long as you roll out the welcome mat and say, come on in, this is a place where you can use drugs, what you're saying is this is a place where you can sell drugs. And by extension, you're saying that the gunplay, that the fighting over the territory, that the death and destruction is okay. That's what you're saying. So let's protect these children who are in the line of fire and get the drugs out of that community. How about that? How about that? We worried about the people that's using drugs, and fine, we should be, but what about the 2-year-old that's in the line of fire? What about the 11-month-old that's in the line of fire? Because with drugs don't just come by themselves. They come with a whole gang of problems. They come with prostitution. They come with car break-ins. They come with burglaries. They come with stick-ups. They come with drug dealers fighting over territory. They come with death. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Tracy from North Philly is on line 1. Good morning.
How you doing, Solomon?
I'm good. How are you?
So I am in an outrage about this now. We know every day I call and I talk about Kensington, like it's just getting just overwhelming, for real. Like, where is the mayor? Where is the black clergy? Where is the people? Where is the people to shut this down? They weren't about opening centers to allow somebody to get high when they should be calling in the National Guard to shut it down, because evidently Philadelphia police can't do it. You know what I mean? Because it's like everybody's connected with what it is. You know what I mean? A lot of people down there, it's nowhere in the world that the police is down there like that. It's sitting there talking to the people all day, not cleaning up the place. I mean, if you go on Allegheny and A&A, it's the most horrible.
It is. It's crazy.
It's horrible.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yo, we was at Rock Ministry. While the people going into church, they was in there shooting up outside.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How disrespectful. This is
Shout out to Juan Marrero down at Rock Ministries. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's sad. And they do, like, they help young boys get off the street by boxing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's just sad, man. Like, when is the mayor going to step up? For real, because, like, I'm so outraged with him that I'm getting ready to call in a couple favors because, see, I know he was down with that man on the docks. I know he was. You know, he think he got away, but you really didn't, because if you don't do something about Kensington, trust and believe, you're going to be living down Kensington under the bridge with the rest of the people. For real, because it don't make no sense, man. And the commissioner, I don't understand, like, are you scared? Like, send the people. Send the whole team out there. You sit out there. Maybe it'll make a difference.
Yeah.
When babies is getting killed, a person in your house shoots you, at least you could have left the baby. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? An 11-month-old poor baby just riding down the street. You know what I'm saying? Shot all up for what? Not one time, but a couple times.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Dr. Reed, I'm going to tell you something. Mayor Kenny, you better go ahead because, boy, I know you was involved with that Dr. Reed, and we getting tired. You better make a move today, for real, because this don't make no sense. He going to tweet, oh, I'm so outraged. Okay, well, you should have been down there after the baby got shot. You should have been on the corner, you know. But I just thank y'all. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're right. Prayer is not enough.
No, we got to pray and then act, because faith without works is dead. Nothing wrong with prayer. But prayer by itself is not enough. You got to, okay, now you got to do something. Now you got to do something, man. You know, and I saw the mayor this weekend. He was in my community at the Finley Playground. They did a refurbishing of that playground. Just looks phenomenal. I remember when my kids used to play there, and there were some issues at that playground, but it looks phenomenal. So we appreciate him and Sherelle Parker and the work they put into that. But Kensington, man, you can't just allow it to just stay like that. You can't. You cannot, man. And the feeling in the community, right, among many people in that community, is that the mayor and others are waiting for the safe injection site to come there and then to put in all the services in order to say, see, the safe injection site was the solution. It's successful. But in the meantime, you got people down there, man, shooting dope on the street, on Allegheny Avenue. On Allegheny Avenue. It's a major thoroughfare in the city of Philadelphia. They just sitting outside shooting dope on the street. Shooting dope on Hilton Street. Crapping on the sidewalk, man, in front of people's houses. And then talk about, oh, hepatitis A is spreading. You think? It's spread through feces. Like, that's what, you know, you allowing these people to just take over that neighborhood. And when you allow the drug users to be there, right, then the drug dealers come there because that's where their money is. So you're not helping anybody by just allowing these people to just run roughshod over this neighborhood, because you are bringing in the drug dealers, and with the drug dealers come the gunplay. That's how this thing go. Like, it's not rocket science. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about this, because there's no way in the world, man, this can continue. This cannot continue. We cannot continue to coddle these people who have taken over this neighborhood, right? They got brand new tents, living under bridges. Where they get the tents from? It's people enabling them. It's enabling. It's not harm reduction. Harm reduction is get them off the drug. That's harm reduction, right? Get them off the drugs, not allow them and enable them to keep doing this foolishness. They have taken over this neighborhood. They are running roughshod over taxpayers, homeowners, people who live there, people who still care about their community. And one of the most reprehensible things I saw, man, was the DA come down there, talk to these people, the people saying, look, we don't want a safe injection site. You talking about, oh, y'all had heroin here for 50 years. That's offensive. Why are you telling taxpayers that when they're asking for your help? You know, we can have a disagreement about what methods we use in order to solve the problems there. But don't insult the people, man. Don't do that. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Because these are the people who pay your salary. These are the people who make you possible. Why are you down there telling these, oh, y'all had heroin down here for 50 years? What kind of mess is that to say to these people whose kids are in the line of fire? We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue this conversation. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters!
Don't miss The Source
Weekdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
Word family, you are not alone.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Word Radio wants you to know that those who suffer from this disease,
their families,
and friends
are not alone.
Word Radio encourages everyone to fight. That's why we're launching Fight for Word, an awareness campaign aimed at bringing attention to early detection,
support groups, prevention,
and treatment of breast cancer.
This month,
We're shining a light on those in the fight.
Plus, all month long, when you start or renew your 4WORD membership, you'll get a very special pink Fight 4WORD t-shirt.
Keep the conversation going with the hashtag #FightForward.
And share inspirational messages, stories, and words of encouragement.
Make a difference.
Together.
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 Together. Together.
Together, let's fight forward.
For more information or to start or renew your 4WORD membership, call 215-425-7875.
Hi everybody, this is Nick inviting you to buy your next car from Jerry and the fellows over at Cardex. See, they're not dealers. They're like a car concierge service. They design a car around you. Almost any make. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and get it for you. So use my car concierge, where I've already bought 4 cars. Cardex at 116 East Glenside Avenue in Glenside, Pennsylvania. Check them out online at cardexinc.com or call Cardex at 215-886-3230.
Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. WURD.
Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, the way they talk, the way they touch their hair. We hold details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones that we carry with us every day. Can we describe them when everything's right? Can we feel when something's wrong? Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. That's knowyourgirls.org. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Salesforce. Traffic busy this morning. Schuylkill Expressway westbound, Bear to south, jamming into Boulevard, out to Gladwin, eastbound Blue Ridge to Belmont, again Montgomery through Spring Garden, westbound Vine, busy from the Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. The Boulevard Route 1 southbound, jam broad down through Fox. 95 southbound, Cotman through Girard, a jam northbound through the city, still not bad. Blue Route 476 southbound side. That's a little slow near the Schuylkill Expressway. Then delays both ways between Route 1 and McDade. 295 both ways of 42, Sabali and Mayor builds. 42 north, jam Blackwood, Clementon through 295. 55 north of jam from Deptford into 42. Salesforce helps your company give your customers the personal experience they love. And when you do that, your customers tend to love you back. Salesforce, the #1 CRM. They bring companies and customers together. Visit salesforce.com/learn more. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Good morning. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. Want to thank all the people who came out to the EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit that took place at Bartram's Garden this weekend. We appreciate each and every one of you. It is a important topic for our community, given that climate change affects us so deeply, because the less you have, right, and the more urban the environment is, the more you're affected by climate change. And so we appreciate everybody who came out. I know it was a great time, and don't miss the next one, because we are going to continue with our EcoWord efforts to make sure that environmental justice and environmental racism is addressed. I'd like to thank all of the panelists and everybody who who was involved in that. Of course, the sponsors as well. Thank you so much for being involved in the onWURD Economic Justice, Environmental Justice, rather, Summit. So 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. I know people are weighing in on Facebook, so we'll check that out. But in the meantime, we're going to go back to the phone lines and talk to Shirley from Germantown on line 1. Go ahead, Shirley.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
You know, I don't know whether they still call that area the Badlands, but I'm on my way to work at the Badlands.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you, under the L, as I go down Kensington, okay, you can see 2- and 3-year-olds going into the trash, picking out empty bottles, and guess what? Still putting it in their mouths, trying to think that, or thinking that they're empty. I stood on the corner. I didn't stand. I stopped on the red light, and I saw the 2 women who walked out. They put their hand on my car. That's just how brazen they put their hand on my car. And I was at the red light, and they said, "Please, do you have a quarter? Do you have anything?" And guess what? I have a little area, you know, that little area on your driver's left side where you put little things in there.
Yep.
I took out all the quarters that I had, and I just said, "Here, hon, God bless you." But you know what? We need so much more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Because in these, I work at North 4th Street, and it's known right like 2 blocks before American Avenue, okay? And what happens is that we need to have a flow chart and getting the organizations involved, from the community police area there, you know, like every police district, like the 14th to the 5th, they all have that community level. They're supposed to work in the communities, right?
Yes.
They have that community program, and we still need to have, I don't know, but I do know that welfare deals with these little kids walking around with wet diapers on. Come on, something needs to happen. You're right.
Yeah.
Something needs to happen.
Yeah.
And anytime you have children who come into the school and they'll tell you, "I couldn't get here. My mom couldn't get her fix." What? This is going on in Philadelphia. I believe and I'm still a strong believer in that NAACP in Philadelphia. You need to come out and speak to these issues. Even if you can't do anything but speak to the issue, be concerned about us. We are black brothers and sisters in here with kids growing up with what they say they don't have a father. I always say, yes, you do have a father, but that doesn't mean that I'm saying anything that's going to help them. Just because I say God is the Father, yes, God is our Father. But the thing about it, these kids need a lot of interesting people. I don't know whether you saw the clip this morning at 6 o'clock on Channel 6 with the news, with a little young boy, 10 years old. He went fishing with his father and caught a fish, and the fish was 8 pounds. He was so happy that his father helped him take the fish off the hook and put him back in the water. He ran off walking. And you know what that father said? "I'm working with my son."
I hear you. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to thank you so much for your call this morning. We do have to move on, but I appreciate the point that you made regarding what needs to happen in Kensington and beyond. We got to do something. We have to do something. 2-year-old child shot dead in a triple shooting. Kids used to be off limits. And I just got to say that there was a code in terms of what could happen and what could not, who you could harm and who you could not. That is no longer in effect. We have to do something. And when you just allow the drugs to take over a community, when you allow that, there's some things that come with it. Like, that does not come by itself. And that's what all the folks who are on this harm reduction thing, that's what y'all don't get. Or are ignoring and pretending that, oh, if we just help them shoot the drugs. Well, where are they getting the drugs from? They're getting the drugs from the drug dealers. The drug dealers are unscrupulous, and they are armed, and they will kill 2-year-old children. They proved it this weekend. You cannot allow that to continue. You can't. You can't just allow that. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Paul from the Northeast is online, too. Go ahead, Paul.
Hi, Solomon. Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to make a statement. It kind of is not about exactly what you're talking about. But first I wanted to say I understand that you can't let everybody respond to after you respond to the person. But I called last week, and we talked about Michael White case.
Yes.
And what really bothered me, and it's not about me not being able to respond. I know I'm not a guest. So what I wanted to say, though, when you read the statement from Larry Krasner and how he said, it really bothers me because when I mentioned the other cases in Florida with Stand Your Ground, which is just a way of murdering people, hunting them down, getting them to do something to you, and then murdering them, in my opinion, I really think Michael White, if you look at all the witness statements where he struggled, the man said, "Do you want some of this?" after he struggled to get the knife out of his bag. What bothered me the most was, that's all good that, I'm not part of the judicial system, but you read a statement from Larry Krasner, and for hundreds and hundreds of years, there's been many people killed with justifying it with the fact it was legal. Being legal and being murder is two different things. That man committed murder, whether it's third degree, involuntary manslaughter, all those cases. The two Stand Your Ground in Florida, they were murder. The guy was walking away from the man and got shot. That's a murder. Zimmerman hunted him down, forced him to confront him, then killed him. That's a murder.
Well, one of the things that Larry Krasner said in his statement was that this case involved two unique individuals. And I think all of these cases, you have to look at the individual circumstances of these cases. A jury of his peers found him not guilty of the charge that he was tried for, voluntary manslaughter. And that's the jury's verdict in this case. Now, you can disagree with it, but that's what the jury decided.
They changed the strategy at the end and made it something we all know. I'm not going to go into those details, but my problem is they're very, 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 very similar cases, and it's very easy to pick and choose little minute details.
But they're not different because in one case you got a knife, and in another case you have a gun. In one case, you have somebody walking away, and in another case, you have somebody charging. So it's very different circumstances.
But he struggled to get the knife. There's witnesses. This is not.
But the man charged him, picked him up, and tried to body slam his head into the concrete.
Yeah, but
so that's different than somebody shooting you from a distance, isn't it? Yeah, why are you saying they're the same?
No, they're the same, and both people put themselves in that situation. Michael White struggled to get the knife out of his bag. He struggled when he could have been fleeing because I own a gun, and I was told very clearly when I took lessons with the gun that I'm under all responsibility. It's all my responsibility to avoid a situation. And the younger you are, the more responsible you are because you're able to get out of the situation. If you're 60 years old,
I don't know that his age, and I want to thank you, Paul, for your call, but I don't know that his age has anything to do with it. He claimed self-defense. The jury said that they agreed with that assessment, that it was self-defense. And, just like we've had to suck it up and respect verdicts when stuff has happened to black folks, I mean, every other community got to suck it up and accept it, right? That's what we had to do. That's what we had to do, right? We had to just accept it when George Zimmerman hunted down. Now, you talking about somebody hunting somebody down. George Zimmerman hunted down Trayvon Martin and killed him even as the police were on the phone telling him, okay, we got it from here. Do not pursue this person. They took him to court. They found him not guilty. Then he sold the weapon that he used to kill Trayvon Martin. And kept getting in trouble, kept getting in situations, and he's still not in jail. We got to suck that up, right? So I think other communities, I mean, if y'all want us to suck it up, right, just take it, right, then I think y'all got to do the same thing. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. And I don't mean to be cavalier about it. I really don't. Because somebody lost their life. And that is a serious, serious thing. But this was a guy whose record showed that he was someone who was a bully, someone who constantly got involved in situations like this, somebody who had alcohol and cocaine in his system that day. So who knows how that affected his behavior. I am so sorry that he died. But a jury of his peers found Michael White not guilty. And if we are expected to respect the verdicts in these other cases, then certainly we should respect the verdict in this one as well. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Let's go to Ruby from Kensington on line 3. Go ahead, Ruby.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Listen, you know, Kensington used to be one of the best neighborhoods in the city of Philadelphia. In 1969, drugs came to our area. I lived in a little place in Kensington called Jewtown. Drugs came in our neighborhood in 1969. And then after the drugs came, then the halfway houses came. We had, drugs was there, but they was quietly used. But when the halfway houses came, everything exploded. Because you had those guys that was renting their houses for the drug houses. They had people coming living there. They were taking all their food stamps to keep them going and stuff like that. Once we got rid of the drug houses in Jewtown, because I used to march with C.B. Kimmons and them, and Herman Wright. And we marched. We used to be out all night. We used to stay right there in Martha and the 2100 block of Cambria Street. Martha Street was the 2900, where the railroad tracks are.
Yeah.
And we had the neighborhood from up Fort Richard further. Mr. Kalawaski was with us. At that time, he was the president of the Port Richmond Association. We spent all night marching and stuff. Now, if Kenny with his prejudice behind, what they want in that area, they want to rebuild. Once they built, they cleaned up Lehigh and Kensington Avenue, they want to tool up at Lehigh. They cleaned that out because they're building houses down there on the bottom of Lehigh Avenue near Richmond Street. Now they're moving up where they're building the houses is on Lehigh, right across the street from Save-A-Lot. We're wondering how long Save-A-Lot going to be there? Because they're not going to be that long. Because the houses are starting at $300,000. They want Kensington Avenue. They want the blacks out. They want the Puerto Ricans out. And they're not caring. Because they could do something about that traffic area.
Well, you know what? I would submit to you that it's not just the blacks and the Puerto Ricans they want out. I think they want the poor whites out too.
Well, they're from Fort Richmond. I went to school with a lot of kids down in Nativity, BVM, right there at Belgrade and Madison Street.
Yeah.
A lot of students I went with, both male and female, they died from overdoses. A lot of people I know still live down there, dying from overdoses. Not that they're not dying, their children are dying from overdoses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they really wanted to clean Kensington out, they could do something about it.
Yeah.
And Mayor Kenny, he need to be down there. Or he could take it to South Philly. That's where he lives. Inject the house down South Philly. And see how you feel down there. Why do you want it in Kensington?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. I mean, for me, when you get to the point where children are being shot and killed, you got to do something. Like, somebody has to do something. You know, and it's not, you know, serving the people who are down there shooting drugs. No, y'all can't do this down here. Y'all, you know, I mean, it's simple. And people say to me, oh, well, what are you saying? Lock them up? Okay. Do you have to lock people up in Chestnut Hill to let them know they can't do drugs there? Do you have to lock people up in Society Hill to let them know they can't do drugs there? Do you have to lock people up in Rittenhouse Square to let them know you're not going to sit here and shoot heroin? No. They know they can't do it there. You got to let them know. That's not acceptable anywhere you cannot have encampments where y'all just here on drug tourism. No, you can't do it. You know, so don't give me, oh, you talking about mass incarceration. No, I'm not. I'm talking about the same thing that used to happen when I was a kid. We'd be on the corner, you know what I mean, and we might have a 40 or whatever. We'd have paid an old man to go in and get us a 40. If cops come, y'all got to get off the corner and take the beer. Pour it out right in front of you. Got to go. You know what I mean? Like, what? What do you mean? You don't have to lock people up to let them know you're not going to do this here. You know what I mean? So, but that's what you hear from the people who favor this mess. They say, oh, well, you're talking about mass incarceration. No, I'm talking about reality. I live in the real world. I don't know where you from, what suburb or what little small town or whatever. But in Philadelphia, oh, there are ways to let people know you're not going to do this here. And they don't involve locking people up in massive numbers. That's nonsense. That's propaganda. And y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop. And it's at the point now, a 2-year-old baby has died in Kensington. Something has to be done now. The drug users need to be rooted out now. And guess what? When they leave, the drug dealers will leave. It's simple supply and demand, right? These are people who are down there destroying that community, and we just sitting here letting it happen, talking about we got to help the people that's overdosing. Okay, help them by getting them off the drugs, man. Getting them out of that neighborhood, getting them off of those streets. Stop letting them just take over where these people live. It's not right. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Philly, D.C., and everything in between. Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Breaking down the latest in local and national news. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the Mattress Man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy, Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com. Word Radio and EcoWord wants to thank everyone who attended and participated in the EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit, featuring an EcoWord photo exhibit by Zamani Feelings, a performance by Ill-Fated Natives, and lightning talks with John Francis, Janine Kayembe, Joanne Douglas, Chris Benson L., and Zuline Mayfield. Thank you to our sponsors and livelihood participants: AmeriHealth Caritas Keystone First VIP Choice, Brown's ShopRite, Serenity Solar, Clean Water Action, Citizens Climate Lobby, Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, New Voices for Reproductive Justice, and the United States Census, Special thanks to Bartram's Garden, the Wynkoop Foundation, and Broke In Philly, a project of Resolve Philadelphia.
Add something delicious to your day at McDonald's, like a double cheeseburger for $2 or a McChicken for $1. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Whole Foods Market. We have a busy ride this morning. Southbound 95, you're jammed up from Cottman Avenue down through Girard. Northbound Jam Market Street up to the Commodore Barry. All that from an accident being cleared. Westbound Vine delays from 95 out to Broadigan Parkway through the Schuylkill westbound Vare to Southampton to Boulevard to Gladwin, eastbound heavy from 202 to Belmont, again Montgomery through South Street, Turnpike and the Blue Route both busy. 42 northbound, you're jammed there from Blackwood Clementon through 295, 55 jam, 47 in the 42, 295 both ways in the 42. Busy Ben Franklin Bridge, you're not busy on the downside in the center city.
Hungry? Build a better lunch at Whole Foods Market, where the hot bars and salad bars are packed with organic veggies, globally inspired dishes, and more. Plus, every weekday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., Prime members save $2 per pound. More reason to take your lunch break at Whole Foods Market.
For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're waking up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Good morning. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Of course, you can also listen to us on our website, wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. And on your app, on your phone, your Word Radio app in clear digital sound. You can give us a call and let us know where you are on our topic this morning, anything else you want to talk about. 2-year-old and an 11-month-old both shot this weekend in separate shootings in the city of Philadelphia. The 2-year-old dead in a triple shooting in Kensington. And, you know, we don't know the cause of that shooting. But we do know this. We do know that there is drug-related violence in that community that has been happening for the last few years as the so-called opioid epidemic has expanded. As people have come there and basically camped out in that neighborhood in order to be closer to the drugs that they're addicted to, the violence there has gotten worse. You have drug dealers fighting over territory there. You have gunplay that is happening there. And as I look at this story, I can't help thinking about Shannon Farrell, who is the president of the Harrogate Civic Association. They, along with all the other civic associations in that community, the Port Richmond Civic Association, the Kensington Civic Association, the Fishtown Civic Association, all of those people in those neighborhoods, I remember seeing them because I've been engaging with them for over a year. And I remember going down there for a community meeting and just watching as all of these heads of these community associations stood up and said, we don't want a safe injection site in our community because our children are in danger, because the drug dealers are in our community and they're shooting around our children. Our children are being shot. Shannon told me this a while ago. So now there's a 2-year-old that's dead in Kensington. And again, we don't know the cause of this, but we do know that violence has proliferated in that neighborhood with the presence of drugs and drug dealers. So why would you then want to keep the drugs there by rolling out a welcome mat and saying, come on, y'all, come shoot up down here? Because not only are they going to be shooting up drugs, they're going to be shooting up the neighborhood with bullets. Because that's what comes with drugs. How do I know? Because I've been there. That's how I know. How do I know? Because I saw my own community change with the proliferation of crack. Everything changed. The way that people responded to their elders changed. The way that people interacted with their families changed. The things that people were willing to do changed. And that's what happens with drugs. When drugs inundate any community, things change, right? The morality of the neighborhood changes. It changes because when you are on drugs, you are not in your right mind and you are willing to do things that you would not otherwise do. And so this is part of it, man. You know, this is part of it. Children being in a crossfire is part of it. What are we willing to do to change it? 215-634-8065 is the number. I know several people talked about the, our various organizations, the Philadelphia Black Clergy, the NAACP, and others. And I am in communication with them. We are going to be talking this week on another issue around the issue of policing. But this has to be on the table. We got to talk about what are we going to do concerning this. And again, all of us are accountable. I am accountable. You are accountable. The mayor is accountable. The police are accountable. But nobody can do it by themselves, right? So, I don't think it's fair to expect the mayor to come in and fix this by himself. Because he can't. He can't fix it by himself. The police can't fix it by themselves. We can't fix it by ourselves. You know what needs to happen? We all need to work together. Because now a 2-year-old baby is dead. Now it's time to put aside all the division. It's time to put aside all the disagreement. It's time to put aside all the pettiness. It's time to stop infighting and figure out what we're going to do because a 2-year-old baby is dead. We got to fix this. 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WRD. Let's talk to Hasim from North Philly on line 1. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Solomon?
I'm good. How are you?
Family.
Good.
Yeah, a lot of topics is quality topics usual on the airwave. Okay, I want to touch on two things real quick.
Sure.
You had a caller call in and was complaining about the White verdict and Michael White verdict and whatnot.
Yes.
And I just want to touch on the fact that if you go back.
We're losing you, Hassim. Hassim, okay, put him on hold. Put him on hold. Let's go to our next caller. Joe from West Oak Lane is online, too. Go ahead, Joe.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
That's good. I'm good. I want to say, what do you do, like the child is dead, the two kids were shot, one died. The solution to that is when we have people murdering people, went out to murder someone, but in this case, kids were hit. We have to start prosecuting the people who are doing these shootings like this, even to the point of putting them to death. It's the only way, because they are evil. They are willing to do anything for some money. That's a problem, and
yeah.
we don't want to do that. Oh, they might be black, so that's how people being put to death. So be it. You have to make a point and deal with evil. In the book of Ecclesiastes 8, it talks about when a sentence is not brought against an evil work, and it tells you speedily, the hearts of men become relaxed. That's Ecclesiastes 8, meaning other people say, oh, there's nothing going to be done, so we can do this. And I know you don't want to put a person to death, but when you're dealing with people who are mean-natured like that, they just went out to murder someone, they deserve to be put to death. They may not intended to shoot the kids, but your point was to shoot into their car.
So you think the death penalty is going to solve this?
It doesn't solve it, but one thing for sure, that person will not do it again, and is used throughout the Bible in the death sentence.
I know, but one of the problems with the death penalty, see, in the Bible, they had witnesses. They knew who did it. They right. You know what I mean? But in terms of what is happening now, and you had that in the Bible too. You had innocent people put to death, right, based on people's lies, right? So what happens when you got the wrong person? What happens when, because that person didn't have enough money to hire a good lawyer, they got the death penalty? What happens when people of color get the death penalty disproportionately where other folks don't? Right? What happens when the death penalty is applied unfairly and sometimes incorrectly in these cases? I mean, does that help?
No, it doesn't if it's applied incorrectly. But what it is that we have to be able to look at it. And the whole concept of this stuff that's going on is that we have excluded God in things. So it's going to get worse. It's not going to get any better, but we got to do the best that we can. Like you said, prayer is good, but prayer in itself is nothing. You need an action and obedience to go with it. So in the process of using the death penalty, we have to be more thorough with it, but it needs to be done. At least that one person won't do it. It's not a cure-all.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. And I want to thank you for your call because I think, first of all, I think prayer is something. But faith without works is dead. Like, you got to do something, man. And I think too often we are fatalistic in our point of view. Oh, it's just going to get worse. Ain't nothing going to happen. Well, what you going to do? Why are we here? If we're not here to do something, then why are we here? Are we here just to sit there and be like, oh, it's just going to get worse because it just is? Come on, man. Nah, I'm not there. I'm not there. I want to hear from you. Now, the death penalty, that's one answer. That's the answer that he offered. I want to know if you agree, and I want to know if you have any other solutions for what is going on now, because we have to come up with something. Tony from North Philly. Nope, let's go back to Hassim from North Philly. He's back on line one. Go ahead, Hassim.
Hey, I don't know what happened. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just real quick, the caller called in about the Michael White situation, and he didn't like the ruling. I just wanted to say the percentage of wrong rulings and injustice of people of color throughout the years, those didn't even add up to 1% of the Michael White thing and the OJ thing or whatever else thing you're going on. As far as not now that he got judged by his peers legally, but the judgment and injustice of us doesn't even add up to don't come up to 1% for the Michael White thing. So that's that real quick. I want, you can ponder on that. And number two, with this, the child killings and this Kensington drug thing and the safe injection sites, I want you to put the math on. They're gentrifying from Northern Liberties all the way up to Bridge and Pratt. So I don't know, they know who's who. There's some people saying they just want us to kill us. We get killed off, we get locked up off, and they come in there and do what they got to do. So I'm curious about that. And that's all I have to say. Word family, and you're doing a great job, Solomon, and Word family, and have a good one.
Thank you, man. We appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk to Tony from North Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Tony.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
And Queen Quaisa, but thanks for taking my call. Solomon, it's a known fact that the drugs and the guns was put in our community for us as part of the genocide. And it's a known fact that they can't get to us without getting to some of the white people, too, eventually. Now, what you see going on in Kensington, so I know most of them people, I grew up in Philly, and a lot of them are FOP family members, and a lot of those people are Trump supporters. So what's happening down there is collateral damage. But what we have to do, if we're not voting as Afro-Americans and having somebody that we boycott, because we don't like the way that company supports politicians that oppress us, you really don't have nothing to say.
You keep talking about boycotting, but boycott who? Who do you want to boycott? What? See, here's what I learned from history, right? And I love Leon Sullivan.
Yeah.
I love Leon Sullivan, the Lion of Zion, right? Because he was strategic in terms of how he used the tool of boycott. He would boycott one company at a time and say, okay, and he had a goal. His goal wasn't about something that didn't have anything to do with what the company was doing. His goal was about that company's particular action. So if for instance, Tasty Cake wasn't hiring black people, okay, all black people in Philadelphia, we ain't buying no Tasty Cake until they hire black people, right? If Coca-Cola wasn't hiring black people at their bottling company here, okay, all black people in Philadelphia do not buy Coca-Cola until Coca-Cola hires somebody. You can't just randomly say, we just going to boycott somebody and they ain't got nothing to do with what's going on, and we don't have any real end goal for the boycott. So who do you want to boycott? What is the goal, and what do they have to do with this?
Let me say this, Solomon. All right. Now, it's some politicians that's all in for this Kensington thing and for the voting and gerrymandering and all that. Now, they get their money from these companies putting their campaign funds. Those are the companies you say, well, why are you supporting those people that's oppressing us? We can't no longer buy your product. That's what I'm talking about.
So you're talking about companies who give corporate donations to politicians.
That support.
What particular company, what particular politician, and what is your goal?
That is for us to find out in this battle of genocide for us. See, this is the only power we have left.
That's not the only power we have left.
Solomon, it's crazy. They change the laws every time we think we got them. They change the laws and slip the rug from under you. You take away that trillions of dollars we spend. You start taking that money away from them. You'll see a change in the way things are going.
All right, I hear you, but I'm trying to figure out the strategy. I'm trying to figure out who you talking about boycotting to deal with this particular issue, right? When boycott is effective, it is about a particular issue and a particular goal. That's how the Montgomery bus boycott worked. And guess what? Boycott is something that you literally starving somebody out, right? You're laying siege to their finances. In Montgomery, that took a year. It took a year. See, it ain't about just you calling on the radio and talking about we need to boycott. Okay, boycott who? Boycott for what? What is the goal? What is the purpose? And are you willing to do it for a year? I hear what you're saying. I just, it has to go beyond just us. Oh, it's about economic. Okay, well, boycott who? Boycott who? You know what I mean? We have so many tools at our disposal, but we have to use them strategically. I'm going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue our conversation. I see you on the line, and we're going to get to you, Joe from West Philly, Mike from North Philly. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make Franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. The call is out. Don't make me shout. Go learn about the new voting machines. The new voting machines. Register, vote. We must. And don't let nobody turn you around. The call is out. Don't make me shout. Go learn about the new voting machines. The new voting machines. Register, vote. We must. And don't let nobody turn you around.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Whole Foods Market. We have a busy ride this morning. Southbound 95, you're jammed up from Cottman Avenue down through Girard. Northbound Jam Market Street up to the Commodore Barry. All that from an accident being cleared. Westbound Vine delays from 95 out to Broadigan Parkway through the Schuylkill westbound Vare to South again to Boulevard to Gladwin. Eastbound heavy from 202 to Belmont again Montgomery through South Street. Turnpike and the Blue Route both busy. 42 northbound, you're jammed there from Blackwood Clementon through 295. 55 jam 47 in the 42. 295 both ways in the 42. Busy. Ben Franklin Bridge, you're not busy on the downside in the center city.
Hungry? Build a better lunch at Whole Foods Market, where the hot bars and salad bars are packed with organic veggies, globally inspired dishes, and more. Plus, every weekday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., Prime members save $2 per pound. More reason to take your lunch break at Whole Foods Market.
For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Back by popular demand. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. You can also listen to us on our website, wordradio.com. Just click the Listen Live button. And, of course, you can hear us on your phone, on your app. That's right. Download the Word Radio app and listen to us anywhere in clear digital sound. So we're talking about a number of things this morning, including the shootings of two children, babies really, over the course of this weekend in Philadelphia. An 11-month-old was shot 4 times and lived. A 2-year-old was shot in the head and died. The 2-year-old, I believe, was Latino. It happened in Kensington. I want to know how we fix it, because now we got babies dying, man. Now we got babies dying, and the question is, what are we going to do about it? The FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, put up some reward money, I believe, in the shooting of the 11-month-old. They put up $5,000 in reward money concerning that. What are we willing to do? What are we willing to change? What are we willing to put up? What are we willing to give in order to stop this from happening with our children? I know I told you last week that one of my son's classmates, my son is 15 years old, one of his classmates from his school was shot dead in his neighborhood by probably another teenager they had a beef with in his neighborhood. Walked up to him on the steps. Him and his friend are sitting on the steps. The friend runs away when the boy pulls out the gun, but the victim doesn't believe the gun is real. The kid shoots him in his head. My son is grieving. Our kids are grieving. We're getting robocalls from the school like, watch your children because grief plays out in many ways. Like, we're going to have to take him to counseling. This stuff does not happen in a vacuum. And so we can't act like just because it didn't happen to our child that it doesn't concern us. Because guess what? There are ripple effects. A shooting is like throwing a pebble into a pool, and the ripples go outward. And they just keep going and going and growing and growing and affecting everything around that pebble. And so this is not just about those who are the victims. This is about whole communities. This is about families. This is about neighbors. This is about your workplace. This is about your child's school. This is about grief. This is about all of these things. How do we address it? Because a lot of this stuff is happening when it does not need to happen. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Let's talk to Mike from North Philly on line 4. Go ahead, Mike.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing today, good brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. 3 quick things. The shootings in Philadelphia, I think there's a direct correlation between the stop snitching policy that we have on the street. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a Citizens Crime Commission where you can just call anonymously and drop a tip.
Yep.
Why don't people just call and drop a tip? You know what I mean?
Yep.
There has to be something done about this when, that stop snitching stuff emboldens these criminals to do this stuff. But they know people are not going to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And this morning, I want to call out the black and brown community on this whole stop snitching thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's killing us, literally. The safe injection site, they not only want those properties down there, but Solomon, they see themselves in those white addicts down there, so they can relate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Us, and I'm old enough to have lived through the crack epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
We were criminals. They threw us in jail, took our properties. You know the whole damage.
Yep.
So, I don't want to hear, woe always be now. No, it's yours. And it's wrong to want to open up these sites. And the third thing is the dude, Paul, who called you last Friday and this morning.
Yeah.
On this whole Michael White thing.
Right.
He wants to call you WRD and litigate this on the radio again.
Yeah.
As if he was there.
Right. Right.
Sean Sellinger played a role in his own demise.
Yep.
And what about, they haven't gotten over the O.J. thing.
Nope.
When O.J. Simpson was found not guilty, he's still paying for that to this day because they're mad. What about all the wrongly convicted black people over the course of time who got convicted for nothing and killed for nothing? That's all I got for you this morning. Thank you, Solomon.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's talk to Joe from West Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, how you doing? Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
Solomon, the problem is the guns that keep finding their way into our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
We don't make them. We don't sell them. But time and time again, teenagers have guns.
Yeah.
No permits and nothing like that. How do so many guns get in our neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
And, I can't figure out, it's something we don't make and something we don't produce. We don't produce opium and nothing like that, but it finds its way in our neighborhood.
How about that?
So I'm stumped. 2 kids getting shot over the weekend. Cowards are shooting in houses at cars and whatnot and not knowing what they're aiming at.
Exactly.
How do you get the gun?
Exactly.
So that's all I got to say today.
I hear you. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Haraya from Ardmore on line 1. Go ahead, Haraya.
Yeah, Solomon, I don't have any answers. This really saddens my heart. But I know one thing. In addition to whatever other punishment that person gets that shot that child, they should lock that person in the room for an hour with that baby, supervise, handcuff him, whatever you got to do, but let him sit, assuming it's a him, in that room with that baby for an hour. But the other thing, Solomon, it's like my 23-year-old grandson said when he got shot, they're out here shooting with their eyes closed.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Larry from Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Larry.
Hey, how you doing this morning, Solomon?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You got a lot of interesting topics.
Thank you, brother.
One thing I can say, Solomon, is, I call you regularly because I listen to you all the time, real deep, is that, we got a Bible that tells us how this is all going to play out. There is no redemption from man unless he's going to take it to the throne, brother. So we're going to see this over and over and over and over again until we get right with our Creator. And there is no escape for that, brother. He know what he did. Whoever did it, they know what they did. It's on their mind. They got to deal with, something that we don't have to deal with. They got to deal with their conscience. And they're going to be brought to justice at some point, whether it be, on a throne, in the courtroom, or by the throne of Jesus.
So here's my question, and I say this as a believer, right?
Yes.
Are we to do nothing, and just wait? Are we to just do nothing and just watch as our children are gunned down? Are we to do nothing?
Nah, I don't have an answer for that. I know.
Because you said ain't nothing going to change. So, I mean, are we to just sit back and just do nothing? Because that's not what my word tells me I'm supposed to be doing.
I agree.
We got to do something, man. And we can pray and certainly invite God into the process, man. But we got to be doing something in the meantime. And really, I think that as believers, our faith should make us even bolder. Right? That, while we are doing it, we doing it knowing that God backs us up. You know what I mean? I can't see us, man, just sitting here just doing nothing and just like, all right, well, it's just going to be bad anyway. Like, why do God still got us here if it's to do nothing?
Well, you know what? To me, that's the answer. And that's what I don't see. I don't see a lot of people of faith really out. I'm not going to say in the streets and all that. I'm saying like really out there trying to redirect the energy of the nations. Because that's what needs to be happening. The energy needs to be directed. We got so many devices out here that's taking us out, man. Internet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Strip clubs, bad music, bad food, bad environment. Everything is toxic.
I hear you, man. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk with Wick from Center City on line 2. Go ahead, Wick.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
Okay, and you?
Hey, Solomon, it's a sad day in Philadelphia. We're still divided, what's right and what's wrong. And the Michael White case is clearly what has brought out the injustice that has been taking place for many, many years. The one thing I want to say to all the listening audience, you have to get yourself involved and vote. Voting will put you on these juries. Voting will get you involved with your civic in your community, in the politics of what's going on in the city of Philadelphia and also nationally. The Michael White case is a classic case of folks cannot handle the truth. The evidence was the truth. And 12 jurors with 2 alternates made a decision. And the decision was based on not their biased opinion. It was based on the truth, the facts. And the facts came out that this boy or young man was innocent. So, the family members and the family supporters was very belligerent in the courtroom. They were very disrespectful to the judge. And it went on and on and on.
Yeah.
It shows why Mr. Sean behaved like he did throughout his entire young life. Because that's the community and that's the involvement that he had with people. That's the interaction that he had with people. And he looked at that young man and said, well, you know what? I'll take it from you. He warned him. He said, get back. Do not come towards me. And he was going to take it from him. And unfortunately, and I say, I lost a son myself. Unfortunately, someone in 70 seconds lost their life. So that's as much as I have to say because I was there. I did witness the trial.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Rita. Rita from South Philly is on the line. She's on line 1. Good morning, Rita.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Well, what you found out is you do have a God after all. He sits high and sees low. Okay? And the jury came to the right decision. But it should tell everybody that you don't have a self-defense law in Philadelphia. Probably the whole state. You just have to be beat to death, shot, wounded, whatever. Okay? Now, these are questions that should be asked the DA because this happened on a public street. Can you imagine if it happened inside the house with no witnesses? You know what I'm saying? So if they can do this to you and there's witnesses, think what these people can do to you. So they have the power. Now, I call you for another one.
Okay.
Medicare asks for new people. Say like you're retired, you're going on Medicare.
Yeah.
As far as your gap insurance, it will no longer be out office people. Here's what everybody forgot. Medicare, Medicaid covers sex reassignment services. You're talking about something that's very, very expensive. My niece had it done, but the difference was she paid for it herself, okay, years ago. Her name is now Tyrone.
Wait a minute. What? Wait. Stop. Rewind. Brrr. Wait. Are you talking about sex change surgery?
Yeah.
Is that what you paid for about Medicare?
And Medicaid.
Okay, go back over that one more time.
Okay. Medicaid, okay. Part F insurance. Say like you retired from your job and they can offer you gap insurance to help pay your medical bills. That's under Part F. That will no longer...
Medicare Part F.
Right. No longer be offered to you, the new people going in. The old people, I don't want to refer to them as old, the people that's already on Medicare, they'll be able to keep their Part F coverage for now. But buyer beware. I'm quite sure they're going to get rid of that. Now Medicare pays for sex reassignment surgery. Now, let me explain to you.
And you said your niece got it, and your niece is now named Tyrone.
Yes. She don't like me, but I always call her Riri.
You always call her what?
Riri, because she's a girl to me. I just can't get used to calling her Tyrone.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's what's going to happen. Let me explain to you the expensive part of this sex reassignment surgery they don't tell you. You have to, for the rest of your life, take hormones. Your money, my money, and these children that's on, public assistance, your money is paying for this. Now, they have to take that medicine for the rest of their lives until they terminate. Okay? That's the way it goes. And plus, there's a lot of problems with that. They have problems because it's not, that lifestyle's not turned out like they, hoped it would be. But it has to be paid for. And what they're doing, they're dropping people from the F roll, gas insurance, you won't no longer get that. Okay? And I think people should be aware of this because you don't wake up with a magic wand. You pay taxes. The money has to come from somewhere. And it's coming from you and me and in a way of higher tax. And
all right, so Rita, what's your bottom line then? What's your bottom line, Rita?
Bottom line, get on that doggone phone and try to get them to drop that insurance. Call your congressman, your senators, call city council, but you don't have to call them. I would start on the state and the federal government. Really, you start at the top because Medicare, that would be your congressman or congresswoman.
All right, Rita. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. I love Rita, man. Let's go to Erica from Chicago on line 4. Go ahead, Erica.
Hey, Solomon. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Doing a lot better. I wanted to respond to a caller that made a comment in reference to, like, where are the believers out here, like, speaking up and doing stuff. We're not always, like, it's not always advertised. There's so much going on.
Yep.
So for people who are kingdom-minded, who are doing the work, who just don't get the publicity, I could even speak about, I'm reminded, she's a professor of mine, Dr. Kimberly Johnson at Eastern University, who's been, like, lobbying at Harrisburg for over 10 years for the juvenile justice system, and a lot of things have been changed and are, like, moving forward because of her activism right there in Philadelphia. And again, you don't hear these people. Like, we're out here, we're doing stuff. My husband is a part of a coalition of black men who are believers in Chicago who are, like, actively engaged every Saturday, every Thursday, helping young black men on the south side of Chicago, and they have a Philadelphia partnership, so I know just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's being done. And I just want people to remember that, like you said, faith without works is dead. There's I know a whole slew of believers who are in law school right now that are like, I'm going to law school because I'm going to pray and I'm also going to do and change policy and lobby. So just remember, just because you don't see it does not mean it's not happening, because the media, they perpetuate and they project what they want to project.
Yep.
But just because stuff is silent doesn't mean stuff is not happening. So I just want to say that really quick, and have a great week.
Thank you, Erica, and I appreciate your call. I mean, I go to shout out to my pastor, Reverend Dr. Larry L. Anderson Jr. at the Great Commission Church. We do a thing called Project Wessel Lane. That's where the church is located. We go out to street corners, we talk to people, and we ain't out there with no bullhorn and all of that. We out there just talking to people, praying with people, trying to have an impact on the community, spending money with businesses in the community, blessing people in the community. I've been doing Hope for Philly and an event called Summerfest, man, for years, running these events where we bring together jobs and social services and healthcare and all of that under the auspices of the church. And so, we are out here and trying to have an impact, mentoring kids at Pennypacker School, you know what I mean, under the auspices of the church. And so, we are out here doing stuff, but I think that we got to do more. I mean, that really is the bottom line. We have to do more, and we have to understand that this is our responsibility. I think saying that nothing is going to change, how it all ends up, how it's going to turn out, like, that's a cop-out. It's a cop-out. And too many of us use that to do nothing, right? You know what? It's not up to me to do anything. It's not up to me. It's up to God. Okay. Well, God got you here for a reason. Are you really just here just to sit there and watch the world go to pot? Or are you supposed to be some light and some salt in the world? Like, come on, man. We got to do better. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue our conversation right here at WURD. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Helana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial, on Daybreak every morning.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WordRadio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WordRadio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media.
What's up, everyone? I know you know the word. No, not the station, but this word, J-O-B, that is. And our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you on their team today. They're currently hiring for production, packaging, and sanitation. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they're hiring right now. Check it out. They're offering fair pay and provide health and dental prescription plans after 90 90 days of employment. They're also looking to hire part-time and seasonal employees as well. Entry-level candidates are encouraged to apply. Call Scott Drummond at 856-754-0360 or visit amorosos.com for more details.
Listen live at wordradio.com.
Join me, Aisha Shahida Simmons, in Love with Accountability for a forum to disrupt sexual violence against women and children. From No to Love celebrates the 25th anniversary of No, the Rape documentary, and 2019 release of the Love with Accountability anthology. Screening October 31st at the Lightbox Film Center. Conference and book launch November 1st at the Annenberg School for Communication and the African American Museum of Philadelphia. Get your tickets at lovewithaccountability.com.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Salesforce. We have delays out there. Heavy arrive this morning on the Schuylkill Expressway both ways, east and westbound. You're jammed up. Southbound 95, that is jammed Cottman through Girard. Northbound side, you're heavy from Market Street up to 320. Earlier accident there, gone. Westbound Vine 95 through the Schuylkill, generally heavy. Southbound Blue Ridge jam Mid-County through the Schuylkill. Again, Route 1 Amelia Swarthmore. Northbound McDade to Route 1 near jam. Pennsylvania Turnpike westbound jam Bed Salem out to Mid-County. On 295 both ways into 42. Heavy there this morning. Delays 42 northbound. You're jammed up. Coles Road to 295. 55 is north of 47 to 42. Ben Franklin Bridge jam midspan in the center city. Salesforce helps your company give your customers the personal experiences they love. And when they do that, your customers tend to love you back. Salesforce, the #1 CRM. They bring companies and customers together. Visit salesforce.com/learn more. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM WURD. You can, of course, also listen to us at WURDradio.com and on your Word Radio app on your phone in clear digital sound. You can take us everywhere you go. So we are talking about a local story this morning. A 2-year-old was shot dead. An 11-month-old was shot 4 times and lived. All of this happened in Philadelphia this weekend, and we have to do something. My question, what is your solution? A lot of people talking about what everybody else needs to do, what the NAACP needs to do, what the Philadelphia Black Clergy needs to do, what people in churches need to do. What you going to do? You know, what are you, because all of us are accountable. All of us, right? So what are you going to do? What is your contribution to this? Because eventually, you know, you sit there and you watch this happen and you say, oh, man, that's a shame this is happening to these other people. Eventually, it comes to your doorstep because you did nothing. So what is it that we are willing to do? I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. Kuwaisa, all of us are accountable.
We are. We are all accountable, and you know, I don't know what the answer should be for, you know, trying to stop all of this violence in our community. I want to say it's education. I want to say it's, you know, holding us accountable. I think it's all of those things, right? It's not just one little thing, and we have to make sure that you know, we are in our communities. We're talking to our kids. Kids are angry. They're so angry today, and I understand. I get it. You know, with everything that's going on, and you're just always inundated with violence and seeing destruction every single day of your life, it's not surprising to me that things like this continue to happen. But, you know, we have to be able to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable and that we are out here protecting our babies.
Yeah, you got to do it. 215-634-8065. Let's go to the phone lines. Talk to Sonny from South Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Sonny.
Thanks for taking my call, Solomon.
You're welcome.
You know, over there in Kensington, like you say, these guys are shooting up, and you know, the cops see them, and it's all good.
Yep.
But, and like to say, I just want to, I mean, 2 babies got shot, And I don't hear nothing exploding, Solomon. So I don't know. I just want to ask the questions. Were there a white baby in there that got shot?
No, the baby was Latino.
And one was black? Both of them was?
I think the 11-month-old may have been black. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm saying I believe it was the explosion. I mean, just like I haven't been down there, Solomon, to see that. Just like you said, nobody was, even it was the ghetto, what you said, but nobody was allowed to just shoot outside.
No.
Hide somewhere. But to me, it seems like the same way art is at the parade. When white folks get drunk, the cops see them. He's just having fun. But when it comes to us, it's something. So I'm saying, and I'm sorry to hear about these babies getting killed. But if that was a white baby, I believe it would have been an explosion. You know?
Yeah, I hear you, and I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. One thing that happened is that the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, put up a reward, I believe, of $5,000 for information leading to the arrest of the person responsible for shooting that 11-month-old. That happened in the 700 block of West Luzerne Street in Hunting Park. And that is a Latino, heavy Latino, or a Latinx, as some people prefer, section of the city. And some African Americans live there too. So, it's a community of color. The FOP put up $5,000, right? And, we laud them for that. But the FOP is often talking about how when these things happen in our community, right, when the violence is perpetrated by people who look like us, who live amongst us, who are in our community, we don't say much. Right? They're often complaining about the fact that we keep talking about police shootings, and we don't talk about what happens in our community. So by putting up this money, the FOP can say, look, we care more about your community than you do. The FOP can say, well, we put up a reward. What did you do? The FOP can say, look, we're trying to solve the violence that's happening in your community. What you gonna do? You understand? Like, when those who speak against you, work against you, talk against you, right? When they are willing to do more than you are around the things that happen in your community, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. That's why my question this morning is, what are we going to do? 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. I'm going to go back to the phone lines. We're going to talk with Red Fox from West Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Red Fox.
Good morning, Mr. Solomon.
Good morning.
One thing I'd like to say, first, my heart goes out for the children that got hurt and the one that lost his life. I'm grief-stricken because that happened with my brother just getting killed on the street. The way we communicate with our children, right? My son went and purchased a gun at 21 years old. And I waited a whole year before I would approach him. His mother told me he had the gun. Him and another friend. When they turned 21, that's the first thing they did. I said, look, your uncle is in law enforcement. He's got a legal gun, right? And he don't use it for any other thing that the law doesn't prohibit him to do. I said, you got to be the same thing. Well, Dad, it's crazy out here. I know. You can keep your gun. But I'm letting you know, if you go out here and wrongfully kill somebody, you're going to have to deal with the law. Not to deal with me. You're going to have to deal with the law.
Right.
You know, and I said, you don't need a gun. You got to go around places. And I know Philadelphia is dangerous all over the world. If you got to go a place that you need a gun, you don't need to go there. And I said, your uncle has a legal gun. He had it over 40 years. And he didn't use it wrongly. You know what I'm saying? So I said, you got to look at it. And that was 22 years ago. He's 40 now. You know what I'm saying? So he took that in consideration, you know? And I said, don't be a hothead. Don't go get the gun over a little stuff. Somebody stepped on your shoe. You was going with this girl, and somebody else stepped in and all that. You don't need no gun for that. You really don't need to go. But what I'm really saying is education and how we communicate with our children, how we communicate through the media like we're doing this morning and these telephone calls, how we protect the narrative that we put out with our children. You know, and by the way, you know, I heard over the media was text on my phone that the ex, when Tarzan's son shot his mother.
Yeah.
The sheriffs killed him. Did you know that?
Who killed him?
The sheriffs in where he lived at.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that, but we'll check that out. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk to Stanley from North Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Stanley.
I mean, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I was one of those who didn't do anything. My son got murdered last year, and I didn't realize until my son got murdered how we, the black men in particular, is sitting on the sidelines. A couple of weeks ago, it was the women that were getting killed all over the place. Now it's our baby. And my premise is we created the Black Male Community Council, and we out in the streets 6 days a week. But we need manpower. And the thing is that I'm saying, Solomon, is us as black men, we are not coming out into the streets. We philosophize ideology and all this other stuff, but we need to be in the streets where the young people can see, the young brothers in particular can see us, our women and children can see us, but we need a manpower-driven effort that's present in the streets where we do security, mediation, cleaning up, and also educating, a roundtable discussion, because sitting on the sidelines ain't nothing being done.
Yeah.
But being present, we can't help the young brothers if we're not out there amongst the young brothers. And the Black Male Community Council is not the only one. Captain Dennis came in this week, and he had a forum. It was 25 people that showed up. And we sit back as black men, and we're allowing this murder and mayhem to take place. And we have to come out to churches, the masjids, the schools of higher learning, get away from the Eagles, and all this other stuff. Spend time with that, but let's go in the community. Let's get up off our knees and go do some work. And we need black manpower. And that's what I'm saying is to all those black men that's talking all this yang, let's get out in the street. Let's organize.
Well, give them a number to call, Stanley.
My number is 215
Yeah.
275 4015. And we have a website also, which is www.bmccphilly, PHILLY.com, where we can organize and get in the community and do the work as black men so the women, children, and elders can see us.
I hear you. And that is one solution. And Stanley, you know, God bless him, after he lost his son, he began to get out and take action in these streets with other brothers. And I applaud them for that. And you can join them in that. Kawesa, give us the number one more time that people can call, that brothers in particular can call if they want to get involved with the Black Male Community Coalition.
That number is 215-275-4015. Again, that's 215-275-4015.
That's right. And you can also go to their website, BM, that's B as in boy, M as in Mary, C as in Charlie, C as in Charlie, Philly.com, BMCCphilly.com, to learn more about what they're doing and how you can get involved. Greg from East Falls is on line 3. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, how you doing there?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm gonna take that number with Stanley. Maybe I'm doing some things and don't matter. Like, we just need to hook up and help each other out.
Yeah, we need to be working together, man. Too often in our community, we working against each other, trying to compete with each other. I got people trying to undermine me now, man. And what happens is a lot of times the people who are getting in the way look like us. They look like us. And it's like, come on, man, why are you doing that? But we have to learn to work together. So I applaud you for that, Greg. Go ahead.
Stanley, I felt him, and I know what he's talking about. And I shared with Michael Court yesterday, like, we ought to be, I feel bad. even though I'm doing what I'm doing, Stanley doing what he's doing, I know you're doing what you're doing. But as a black man, I feel bad because we are supposed to protect our families. And I'm telling you this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to proclaim it. Greg Brinkley said this. We all know we got people on the street. We can find out anything we want to. I'm putting my ears out there or whatever I can. Because once I find out, if I find out who did it, I'm telling. You don't have to worry about it. I am going to tell. Period. No shame in my game. You don't go around killing kids. I will tell, and my name is Greg Brinkley. Come holler.
All right, Greg. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Ron from West Oak Lane on line 2. Go ahead, Ron.
Yes, Solomon, I'd like to respond about what we should do. I'd like to refer to Micah 6:8, which says, I have shown you, O mortal, what is good and what is required of you, to do good, to love justice and mercy, and walk humbly with your God. And a lot of emphasis on what is required of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for your call this morning. You know, we got to stop because a lot of us, man, I call it the Christian cop-out. Like, you sitting up talking about, oh, well, you know what I mean? And God is going to do, but you got to do some stuff too. Like this whole sitting back and all of this, man, and we need to be working across faith traditions, across class, right, across all of that in order to secure our own community. We got to do that. And everybody not going to be doing the same thing. Everybody not going to be out there with Stanley. Some people going to be working with people in schools. Some people going to be out there on the street corner. Some people going to be getting people jobs. But we all got a role to play. Get in where you fit in. But something is required of you. We got to do more, man, than just sit back because now our babies are dying. I'm going to go to break. On the other side, we should be talking with our first guest, Benjamin Crump, about this very issue. He's got a new book out, Open Season, and we're going to talk about it on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters! Don't miss The Source.
Weekdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on WURD Radio.
WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Wincoat Wellness is changing the way the world ages by redefining home care. Wincoat Wellness makes it possible to achieve independent living through companion care. If you or someone you know has a loved one who is in need of home care services, the enrollment process is seamless. Give them a call at 215-277-5914 to begin enrollment with their dedicated team or home care associates, and before you know it, you'll be receiving care. Call now, 215-277-5914.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to WURD Radio.
Independent Black Media.
The Kimmel Center presents Chick Corea Trilogy with Christian McBride and Brian Blade. The two-time Grammy Award-winning trio of jazz pianist Chick Corea, Philadelphia native Christian McBride on double bass, and drummer Brian Blade formed in 2014 with the landmark triple disc debut, Trilogy. They share the stage for a night of jazz, delivering takes on the Great American Songbook, Korea Originals, and more. Sunday, October 27th at the Kimmel Center. Tickets at kimmelcenter.org.
Oak Street Health and Caregivers America invite you to attend CEFN's inaugural Senior Harvest Ball on Friday, October 25th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Hilton Hotel, 4200 City Ave. For ticket information, contact Sherry Hill at 215-858-4957.
It's the Rapping Professor. Did you miss me?
Well, I'm coming back to the airways, y'all. Every Saturday starting November 2nd, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. The Rapping Professor.
Bringing the truth into context like nobody else.
We're going to turn up, and the turn up is 1 p.m. starting November 2nd. That's right, 1 p.m. November 2nd, the return of the Rapping Professor. You're turning up with word, y'all.
Drive in
with Solomon Jones.
Drive home
with Charles Ellison.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Philadelphia, independent Black Media. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We are now joined by our first guest, and he is attorney Benjamin Crump. He has represented many families in the fight for justice in the killings of black people across this country by police and others. And he has a new book out called Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Colored People. Mr. Crump, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. So, I mean, you have been involved in most of these high-profile cases where we have seen black people shot down by police and by others. The Trayvon Martin case comes to mind. What made you focus so much on this particular aspect of the justice system?
You know, when I grew up, Thurgood Marshall was my personal hero, and I wanted to do like Thurgood Marshall and fighting for our community to make sure we got equal justice under the law as the Constitution guaranteed to all citizens. And so with this book, especially being here in Philadelphia, I think about your native son, Ben Franklin, who said that democracy, Solomon, is like two wolves and a lamb voting on what to have for lunch. You don't have to be a genius to know how that vote is going to turn out. But he said liberty is making sure that the lamb is well armed to protest the vote. So what we're trying to do with this book is make sure young lambs in communities of color are well armed to protest the school-to-prison pipeline, well armed to protest the racist Jim Crow laws like Stand Your Ground, well armed to protest environmental racism, where you would find children in South Central Los Angeles have a third of the lung capacity as children in Santa Monica, California. Well armed to protest, Solomon, the prison industrial complex, because you think when most people go to jail or prison, they're thinking about losing their constitutional rights, where when minorities go to prison, especially women of color, they not only have to worry about losing their constitutional rights, but as we write in the book about losing your reproductive rights. As late as 2014 in the state of California, you had black and Hispanic women being coerced into having forced sterilizations while they were in prison.
So one of the things you talked about, the first group that you mentioned was children, and of course here in Philadelphia, children are being set up for failure. Children are being victimized by violence, not just by police, not just by others, by some of our own as well. One of the things you write in your book is this: black and brown children are essentially being singled out and funneled toward a lifetime of failure almost from the start of their school years. Many are trapped in poor minority neighborhoods where they find little opportunity in a woefully inadequate educational system. How does this lead to what you're talking about, this open season on people of color, this legalized genocide that you talk about?
Absolutely. The law is supposed to be the protector, the last resort against injustices, but oftentimes it's the law itself that's supposed to protect us that they're using to kill us with this intellectual justification of discrimination, Solomon, as with school funding, as with, allowing these polluting corporations to be within breathing space of where our children, play and go to school. And so when you think about the school-to-prison pipeline and the fact that it's the law that we keep raising, whether it's the Obama administration trying to hold these corporations accountable in our community, it's the courts that struck down all the legislation that his administration was trying to pass. When you talk about in Detroit with the right to literacy, where we sue in the federal court, but then the federal judge said there's no right to literacy in America, and you say, but we're talking about our children here having an equal playing field. If you're going to let the children in the suburbs be able to get all the school funding, but then in inner cities like Detroit and St. Louis, they get limited funding where they can't even provide new books and new technology, then it's killing our children every day, telling them that they're underclass citizens, that they're secondary citizens. And then it gets even deeper when you think about the internet and net neutrality. Now they are allowing them legally to not have to give the same infrastructure in the inner cities that they give in the more affluent communities. So little Becky and little Tommy, the white children, get their homework assigned questions answered within 3 seconds on the internet. But then it takes people in our community over a minute to 2 minutes to get the same answer. And so they're building this uneven opportunities at the American dream, and they're doing it legally. It's more poignantly not just these high-profile police shootings, but how they kill us in the courtrooms every day with these trumped-up felony convictions as well.
And I want to get to the police shootings and the other shootings, but I want to get at the structure, because you talk about the structure in this book, and I find it very interesting. On page 192, you cite a statistics that says 65% of the private prison contracts ITPI received and analyzed included occupancy guarantees in the form of quotas or required payments for empty prison cells, a low crime tax. These quotas and low crime taxes put taxpayers on the hook for guaranteeing profits for private prison corporations. So this is not just about like this evil system meant to keep people down or whatever. This is about people actually making money from the imprisonment of black and brown people. Talk about that.
Absolutely. It's slavery by any other name. And I want to draw the correlation, if I can, Solomon, to the fact that even when you look at how slavery in America was unique to slavery anywhere at any time in the world since slavery began back in antiquity, it was literally in America and the Caribbean for the first time that they said this was going to be, we were going to be shadow property. That meant that no matter what, our children's children would be slaves, because it was based on if we were in a war situation, we capture you, you didn't accept Christianity, you were a slave until you accepted Christianity, or if it was some indebtedness, you were a slave until you paid the debt. But America, they said, no, this slave stuff is good, where I can control my labor costs and I can maximize my profits. The same thing they're doing with the private prisons. Well, we got to find a way to keep these black people as slaves. A zebra can't change its stripes, so we're going to make sure that we define slavery not as based on skin color. Now, just evolve that to today. The 13th Amendment says that as long you're free unless we can define you as a criminal, as a person who we incarcerate.
Yep.
And then as I put in the book, the United States Supreme Court, within 16 years after they passed the 13th Amendment that freed the slaves, upheld the Virginia Supreme Court, said when you are convicted of a crime, then you become a slave of the state. That is still the law in America today. And so we should not be surprised that the prison industrial complex, where they are maximizing their profits off of low labor costs, that they are trying to get younger, stronger black slaves to be incarcerated more, and they are being incentivized by the laws and the lawmakers who say you can run our prison system and we're going to guarantee you black and brown bodies.
Let's talk about the shootings, because I think that's the thing that people really recognize you for. The Trayvon Martin case, just a heartbreaking case. I've interviewed his father and talked about his life. How did you get involved in the Trayvon Martin case, and what have you learned from it that can be applied to these other cases that are happening now?
Certainly. I first got called while I was in court fighting for the life of another black boy. My phone kept blowing up, and everybody knows me. I'm really busy, so if you call me and I don't answer the phone, I'm going to get back to you. Don't keep calling. So I was a little annoyed, but they kept calling. I had about 20 missed calls. When I finally got a break in court, I came out, and Attorney Patricia Jones and Attorney Tyrone Williams, Patricia's Trayvon's cousin, she's a lawyer down in Miami. They said, Crump, we got to get you on this case about this kid who was killed by the Neighborhood Watch. And then they said, why don't we get his daddy on the phone? He can tell you better than we can. And it was just still eerie to this day, Solomon. And you met Mr. Tracy Martin.
Yeah.
He's a manly man.
Yeah, he is.
I cannot articulate the sound, the whining that was coming from the other end of the phone. He was heartbroken. This was truly, black men get a bad rap that we don't love our children, take our children. Man, it's so evident that Tracy Martin loved Trayvon.
That's right.
From that first time I was on the call, and he told me about how his son was walking home with from 7-Eleven with a bag of Skittles, iced tea, and the Neighborhood Watch volunteer profile, pursued, and shot and killed his baby. And from that day, what have we learned? Trayvon became the #1 news story in the world, Solomon, in 2012. And I think in many ways after the Amber Geiger conviction that I represented with some great lawyers, the family of Botham Jones, who was sitting in his apartment eating ice cream when this white policewoman came in and shot and killed him in his own apartment, claiming she thought she was in her apartment. Well, that was historic in the sense that this white policewoman, for the first time in America, was convicted of murder for killing a black man. Had never happened with a white policewoman. But as the aftermath, I said that this verdict was not just for his family, but this verdict was for Trayvon, for Michael Brown, for Stephon Clark, and so many others, because I think with each one of those high-profile cases, it raises the educational level on people, on these juries, to understand that this is a contradiction. What you all are doing is hypocrisy, how you're treating black and brown people who get killed in unbelievable ways.
Yeah.
And so we'll stand your ground now. We've seen in Florida this year 2 high-profile cases where the white police officer and Corey Jones, who claimed stand your ground, he was convicted and put in prison for 25 years. And then we have seen the parking lot vigilante in the killing of Marquise McLaughlin, where it was on video, and he got convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 20 years. So we are seeing now that the education level is starting to get better, but we can't take it for granted because Amber Geiger still only got 10 years.
Yeah.
And we know there are brothers and sisters sitting in prison for selling marijuana.
That's right.
Not killing anybody for 20 and 30 years.
Yep.
And so one of the things I point out in the book, too, is that, America has legalized marijuana, so they're making money to pay their bills by selling weed. And that's the same thing black and brown people were doing, and they put us in prison. So
that's right.
America should not be allowed to profit from marijuana sales until they let all the black and brown people and everybody else who was selling weed out of prison.
You and me on the same page, brother. We are on the same page with that. So you are going to be here tonight, of course, at WHYY Studio. I believe they're at 150 North 6th Street. What time is that event, and how can people learn more about it?
It's at 6 to 8, and it's going to be where they can call. What is the phone number? It's 150 North 6th Street, but they can call and get more information on the program. I'm going to get that number for you before we end this interview, but please have them come. going to have a lot to talk about. And this book is a conversation piece, as everybody has been saying. And I want to thank your audience, Solomon. So far, this book has been a bestseller for Amazon. So people are ordering the book, and they're having discussions that we need to talk about, because we can't allow these hashtags to keep happening. And I don't want anybody to think that it can't happen to your children. If Trayvon Martin stood for anything, it's still for the proposition that it don't matter if you're in the suburbs, you're in a gated community or whatever. They are targeting our children, and they're not only killing our children on the street, they're killing them in the courtroom with these trumped-up felony convictions. And when I say trumped-up felony convictions, I do mean trumped-up felony convictions, because 1 out of 5 black men in states like Tennessee and Florida, and there are many states that with similar statistics are convicted felons, and the experts believe, Solomon, if this trend continues in the next 25 years, 1 out of every 3 black men in America will be convicted felons. So if you have 3 children, or your son, your nephew, and your cousin, they all black boys, then the statistics say 1 of them are going to be a convicted felon. So that's why we all got to make sure that our children are more intelligent than their oppressors.
I know that's right. Benjamin Crump, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this morning show. He's going to be at WHYY Studios. That's 150 North 6th Street for a conversation, and that is happening tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. And you can certainly go to our social media to learn more about that. Benjamin Crump, thanks for joining us. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Solomon.
All right. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to take your calls. Nope, we're going to talk with Dr. Tim Golden. He is going to join us to talk about some of these cases we are talking about on this morning show. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters! Don't miss The Source.
Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on WURD Radio.
WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Honey, it's our favorite time of year, and I got you something to celebrate.
A McRib! It's just what I wanted.
Happy McRib season, sweetie.
I love you.
I love you too.
Actually, I was talking to my McRib.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll leave you two alone.
McRib season is here, but not for long. Get one now for just $3.99. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Enterprise Exterminators provides customers with the highest quality service. Enterprise will evaluate and eliminate whatever pest problems you may have, specializing in bed bugs, fleas, mice, and termites. Hurry down to 4943 Wayne Avenue or call 215-849-7070. Enterprise services Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey and is licensed and insured. Free inspection and do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now and ask about their WURD discount. 215-849-7070.
WURD family, this is Sarah Lomax Reese, President and CEO of WURD Radio. Join me on Friday, November 1st from 5:30 to 7 p.m. for the next installment of the Walter P. Lomax Jr. MD Speaker Series, Struggle and Progress, a conversation on Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. I'm excited to interview 2 of the leading scholars on Douglass and Tubman, Dr. C. James Trotman, founding director of the Frederick Douglass Institute, and Dr. Erica Armstrong Dunbar, author of She Came to Slay, The Life and Times of Harriet Tubman. This powerful discussion will be held at the Barnes Foundation as part of their First Friday festivities and will precede the premiere of Ruth Naomi Floyd's Frederick Douglass Jazz Works, a suite of music created to honor the legacy of the famed activist and abolitionist. You do not want to miss this amazing event, which happens to fall on the same day as the release of the new Harriet Tubman movie. Space is limited. For ticket information, go to wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875.
In partnership with the Barnes Foundation, sponsored by PICO and Comcast NBC 10. We are
progressive and proud and interactive.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at onWURD. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com.
This hour is brought to you by Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. Visit enontab.org. Enon, a place where people encounter God.
You're waking up
with WURD,
hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. Our next guest is Dr. Tim Golden. He's professor of philosophy, legal studies program coordinator, and director of the Donald Blake Center for the Study of Race, Ethnicity, and Culture at Walla Walla University. For 20 years, he was a criminal defense attorney in Philadelphia and in the federal courts. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you today?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you.
Good. So I want to talk about a story that we kind of alluded to a little bit earlier in the show. It's about a black security officer named Marlon Anderson. He was fired from a high school in Madison, Wisconsin, for telling a student not to call him the N-word. The student was black, he was black, and the school cited a zero-tolerance policy on derogatory language by staff members in firing him. My question is this. Are such policies really meant to address racism, or is there something else at play?
Solomon, I think this is a classic example of how zero-tolerance policies are, when it comes to issues like offensive language, this is, I think, being applied to eliminate a black employee. I think that's what this is about. I think the zero-tolerance policy is a pretext in this situation for a termination of a black employee. Zero-tolerance policies are problematic, especially because they take no consideration of context into consideration. And when you remove statements from their context, they take on whatever meaning you want them to. And rather than abstract something away from the context, which is what a zero-tolerance policy does, they need to take a common-sense look at the entirety of the situation, because if they did, this man would still have his job. And what astonishes me, Solomon, is that President Trump can offer to pay the legal bills for people at his campaign rally who beat up protesters in the event that they get arrested. And this poor man just made a statement, and Cher has actually offered to pay his for a lawsuit in the event that he decides to file one to get his job back. So I'm just astonished at how, under the guise of zero tolerance, we use that policy to just eliminate people because of their race. And I think that's what's happening in this situation. I don't think, if you pay attention to what happened, which is the unruly student is calling the security officer the N-word, and then he says, look, I'm not your N-word, and then that's what gets reported to his superiors and he gets fired. That's just silly. I mean, if you look at the context, it's clearly not offensive language as it's contemplated by the zero-tolerance policy. I mean, they're making it seem as though the security officer was going around just abusing students, calling them that word. Right? But that's clearly not what was happening. So it's just another attempt to separate words from circumstance and from history. And when you do that, you're able to pretty much do whatever you want. It's kind of like what the law does with this whole silly idea of colorblindness. You know, when you refuse to look at the color of someone, you refuse to acknowledge their history, and more importantly for white people, you refuse to acknowledge your own accountability and complicity in their oppression. And so I think that's what's going on there. I hope that this man is able to get his job back and without too much hassle. And I certainly hope that it doesn't take a celebrity like Cher to pay his litigation bills in order for him to get his job back.
It's all of it is crazy, but I think the extenuating circumstance in this is that his son is also the president of the Black Student Union at that school. So when they led the protest to try to get him his job back, and teachers went out in protest, the students did, the staff members did, his son led that protest, and I just wonder if this might be some pushback against the fact that his son is standing up and saying, I'm going to represent black people in this school, I'm going to represent black students in this school. Oh, okay, we're going to fire your father. Like, you got to look at stuff like that now because of the craziness that's going on.
You do. It's a big part of it. And what bothers me, Solomon, is that this is a perfect example that a lot of white people will point to that they think in their mind justifies them using the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, look, these are two black people, and black people say it to one another. And I realize there's a controversy about the N-word within our own community.
Yes.
Whether or not it should be used. And a lot of the time it's used artistically in music, in theater, etc. But that aside, regardless of what the debate is within our community, one thing is very clear. White people don't have no business saying that word.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if we say that word to one another. Solomon, if you're walking down the street with your wife and another woman walks up to you and says, hi, honey,
mm-hmm.
your wife is going to have a problem with that.
That's right.
Right? And the other woman's logic can't be to your wife, well, you call him honey,
mm-hmm.
so I should be able to call him honey too. What that other woman doesn't realize is that you and your wife have a relationship.
Right.
You have a history together. And sharing that relationship, sharing that history enables your wife to call you things that no other woman in the world can call you.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Because she doesn't share that history. And so it's important for white people to keep that in mind, and they really need to think very carefully about the history of that word and the history of African Americans and the kinship that African Americans share. So we can go on within our community about whether or not we ought to use that word, but it should always be clear that white people have no business saying it.
Okay, well, let's move on to another case that I wanted to talk about with you. Michael White, he's a young black bike messenger here in the city of Philadelphia. He was acquitted of voluntary manslaughter in the killing of a white real estate developer named Sean Skellinger. That's not usually the outcome for black defendants. How rare is that outcome, and why is it so rare, Tim?
Well, I think it's extremely rare. Usually, whenever there's a interracial crime, particularly homicide, and the victim is white, and the perpetrator or the accused is black, there's almost always a conviction. What I find interesting in this case is that I think the outcome. So if you listen to the victim's family will tell you that the reason the case ended up the way it did is because of Larry Krasner, because he took third-degree murder off the table, and in withdrawing the third-degree murder charge, he basically left the jury with only one option. And voluntary manslaughter is still an intentional killing. It's just mitigated by cause or provocation. But from what I understand from the facts of the case, he was acquitted based on self-defense.
Yeah.
This was a self-defense case, and it's interesting to me because the victim had both alcohol and cocaine in his system, and I just find it fascinating, Solomon, that in the deaths of Botham Jean and Tatiana Jefferson, there's allegations that Miss Jefferson had a gun and that Botham Jean had marijuana, and those things were used in an attempt to sort of demonize them and make them look like they were guilty parties or that they were violent people.
Right.
But I don't know how much we ever heard about Mr. Challenger. I think that was his name. I don't know how much we ever heard of his ingestion of alcohol and cocaine shortly before the confrontation with the young man that led to his death.
Yeah.
So the standards are so twisted and so so unfair. I mean, I was watching some of the videos of the victim's mother, and she's calling for the Larry Krasner to be prosecuted, and I just thought to myself, how many black mothers have been on the receiving end of that victimization, where the perpetrators were police officers and have just had to turn around and walk away and move on with their lives without their sons, without their loved ones. Look, I thought about Philando Castile's mother after the jury verdict, and I wonder if the victim's mother in this case would have been as outraged or upset over that as she was over the death of her own son. Now, I'm not trying to diminish this woman's loss. She has a right to be upset. She can be angry. She's lost her son, and I sympathize with her for that. But just as an observer and someone who watches criminal justice sort of develop in trials like this and watch different pictures come out of these trials, pictures that are painted in terms of race and racial history and racial disparities, it's just interesting to me that when the victim is a white person and an African-American person is acquitted, it's now all of a sudden time for wholesale reform.
Yeah, how about that?
It's now all of a sudden time to throw everything out and start all over again. And I'm just really astonished by that. Again, I don't have anything bad to say about this woman again or her family because they lost a loved one.
That's right.
Which is always tragic. There's nothing good about that. And that's the other thing. There are no winners in this case, right? There's no winners in this situation. It's just a difficult situation, like it always is. And I think what I'm interested in as a critical race theorist is the fallout that comes along racial lines and how different it is when the victim is a white person as opposed to when that victim is a black person.
That's a good point. And one of the things that I saw, Michael White went to church on Sunday, and he spoke before the church, the church that he went to before he turned himself in. And he said, I'm responsible and I have to live with that or whatever he said, something to that effect. And of course, the press is there following him around, waiting for him to say something. And this is what he's going to have to be cognizant of. It reminds me so much of the O.J. Simpson case, where everything he did, everywhere he went, everything he said, they were documenting it and waiting to get him to the point where they locked him up for allegedly stealing his own materials. You know what I mean? So, like, Michael White is going to have to watch for that fallout, because they are going to be following him around and trying to trip him up and trying to catch him saying or doing something that will allow them to get him, for lack of a better word, because that's what happens in these kind of cases.
Yes, and it'll be interesting. I want to keep an eye out for the sentencing, because he was convicted rather of one charge of tampering with evidence.
Yeah.
Which is a misdemeanor where I think he can face 1 to 2 years in prison. So it'll be interesting to see what sentence he gets in this case.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see if the judge decides to give him the maximum, because he could still spend 1 to 2 years in prison. So that's a possibility, and it'll be interesting to see how much of the public how much of the white outrage and backlash plays a factor in this sentencing.
Yeah.
Because we have not heard the last of this family of the victim, who I'm sure will be at the sentencing in full force, demanding the maximum penalty be imposed on Mr. White. So this is a story to continue to follow. And we'll keep our eyes out for it.
All right. That is Dr. Tim Golden. He is a lawyer and critical race theorist. He is professor of philosophy, legal studies program coordinator, and director of the Donald Blake Center for the Study of Race, Ethnicity, and Culture at Walla Walla University. For 20 years, he was a criminal defense attorney in Philadelphia and in the federal courts. Tim, thanks so much.
Thank you, Solomon. Take care.
All right. Talk to you next week. So I want to remind everybody that Word Radio and onWURD thanks you for attending and participating in the onWURD Environmental Justice Summit. There was Zamani Feelings and John Francis and Janine Kayumbe and Joanne Douglas and Chris Benson L. and Zuline Mayfield. Thank you to the sponsors and participants, including AmeriHealth Caritas, Keystone First, VIP Choice, Brown ShopRite, Serenity Scholar, Clean Water Action, Citizens Climate Lobby, Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, New Voices for Reproductive Justice, and the United States Census. Special thanks to Bartram's Garden as well, and the Wincote Foundation and Broken Affiliate Project of Resolve Philadelphia. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WRD. We'll be right back.
Reality Check. Reality Check. Hosted by Charles Ellison. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WordRadio.com.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Word family, you are not alone.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Word Radio wants you to know that those who suffer from this disease,
their families,
and friends
are not alone.
Word Radio encourages everyone to fight.
That's why we're launching Fight Forward, an awareness campaign aimed at bringing attention to early detection,
support groups,
prevention,
and treatment of breast cancer.
This month, we're shining a light on those in the fight.
Plus, all month long, when you start or renew your Forward membership, you'll get a very special pink Fight Forward t-shirt.
Keep the conversation going with the hashtag #FightForward.
And share inspirational messages, stories, and words of encouragement.
Make a difference.
Together.
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 Together. Let's fight forward.
For more information or to start or renew your Forward membership, call 215-425-7875.
WordRadio.com.
The Uptown Theater presents the Chairman's Ball on Saturday, October 26th from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. at the Berean Presbyterian Church, located at 2101 North Broad Street. Masquerade attire, black and white, is optional. Call 215-236-1878.
Back by popular demand. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. You can also listen to us on our website, WURDradio.com. And, of course, on your Word app on your phone, and clear digital sound. Take us everywhere you go. And you can watch us on Facebook at Forward as well. So as we wait for our next guest to come in, let's go to the phone lines and talk to Jacob from Alney on line 1. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, peace be unto you, Solomon.
How you doing, brother?
I'm stressed, but I'm blessed. And
I hear
my heart goes out to the families who lost their babies, man. This is really crazy. But, you know, if I say ignorance, drugs, and guns, that's a hell of a mixture, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got to work today. One of the things we got to do, we got to kill this idol god called NRA, right? You know, Solomon, if I was to have an argument out with somebody, right, and I go to you and say, Solomon, give me your gun, man. Give me that knife, right? And I go out and kill that person, don't they hold you liable?
That's right.
Okay, now.
That's right.
Because you gave me the gun, right?
That's right.
What the heck is the problem with people like the NRA, who is okay to just manufacture thousands and thousands and thousands of guns, right?
Yeah,
and pass them out? They're not liable? I mean, it doesn't make sense. We got to wake up, man, we the people, and do the things that we have to do. We have to educate our children that drugs ain't the way.
That's right.
You know, what kind of world is it that they look like they're doing fine up there on Cloud 9. They want to get away from this place, man. And they put the needle in their arm or whatever they do to get away from this stuff, man. We got a lot of work to do, Solomon, but I think we could start with, again, educating our children.
That's right.
That drugs ain't the way, and getting to break up and destroy this new idol god called NRA.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, and I appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio, Jacob. So we are waiting for our next guests. I believe they're here in studio with us, and we appreciate them. Now, we're talking about Read by Fourth, and first person I need to say hello to is Dorian. What's up, brother?
Hey,
how you doing, man?
How are you, sir?
Man, it is so good to see you again. And to hear about this program, Read by Fourth. And, of course, it is about making sure that our children can read and read well. And so joining us in studio, of course, Dorian Harris works for the School District of Philadelphia and Net Community Care, Office of Community Engagement. He's a reading captain. Also joining us is Gary King. He performs community outreach in his role as a literacy advocate, working to connect local residents with literacy-specific volunteers opportunities. So, Dorian, I'll start with you. Define Read by Fourth. What is it? And move closer to the mic, Dorian.
Hey,
what is it?
So good morning. Read by Fourth is getting kids just to read by they get to the fourth grade level, and make sure that they're understanding and comprehending what they read.
Okay. And Gary, how do you go about making sure that kids can read by fourth? How do you go about it?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mr. Jones. I think it takes a village, and it takes a bunch of different pieces. So it's not just any one thing, but it starts at the home. The parents are the first teachers. And Dorian and I are just two people. We're part of a larger effort that spans the city. There's a lot of different organizations doing that. So our big metrics are making sure the kids are in school, attendance, making sure, as Dorian said, that they're reading at grade level by the end of third grade, because what happens is in fourth grade, that's when you start to you stop learning to read and you start reading to learn. So if you can't read by the time you hit fourth grade, you're not going to be able to access that content. So it takes libraries, it takes volunteers, it takes the different partners and the programs. It's a team effort, truly.
And this is run by the school district, is that correct? No, it's not run by the school district. It's run by the Free Library of Philadelphia.
Yes,
in partnership with the school district?
Well, in partnership with the school district and the communities.
I got you. And so, now, Gary, you got looks like your son with you today.
I do, yeah.
What's his name?
This is Jacob.
Hey, Jacob.
Also known as Jake. Yeah,
okay.
He's going to be 3 in a few days.
Okay.
So we're working on his reading right now.
Yeah. Well, he's working on those trains in his hand. That's what he's working on. So we appreciate him, man. And but this is what it's all about. It is about our kids. And Dorian, I know you can appreciate that as a father.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. With all your kids.
With a father of 6 kids and 17 grandkids. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I know you can appreciate that, and I can as well. One thing that's important about reading is that kids, if they cannot read the textbook, they can't learn the other subjects. They can't learn math. They can't learn science. I mean, they can, but it becomes harder to do that if you can't read the textbook. And so reading really is a fundamental skill that they need to have, Gary.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we're always talking about is trying to get that consciousness about that, because some of us have that knowledge. Some of us are blessed to be born into situations where parents are readers themselves. But reading really starts in the womb, right? Because the way that the research tells us, the babies have to be spoken to and start hearing those blends and those sounds, and then they attach that to the words later on. So if they're not, that's just a whole first step. A lot of people might assume like, oh, it starts, they'll learn in kindergarten, but really you have to start that right away. You got to start talking to them, reading to them very, very early on.
Yeah. And so how do people get involved in Read by Fourth? We know that it's a citywide coalition of parents and partners making the promise to protect every child's right to read. How do people in the community get involved in this process, Gary?
Well, one of the initiatives that we're really promoting and really trying to get out there is reading captains, and that would be a wonderful start. But there's any number of ways you can go to your local school. You can connect with partners like AARP. They have experienced Corps volunteers throughout the city. We've got Philly Reading Coaches, which is an after-school reading program for students at different schools. But reading captains is a great way because it's a low bar. You don't have to. It's not a big time commitment. It's just you're committing to be somebody on the block to promote and spread the different initiatives to neighbors. So that way it's somebody that you know. It's not somebody coming in from the outside. It's, you know, it's Aunt, you know, Aunt Jenny down the block who everybody knows, or, you know, Uncle Bill, whoever that is, you know.
So what is a reading captain? Explain what that is.
So to me, a reading captain to me is someone's just, like Gary just really put it, sharing the resources, putting the books out, just getting the community more involved. And, you know, we're not asking reading captains to go out and read to kids, but we just want to make sure we got books out in the neighborhood. One of the things that I implemented in North Philadelphia was 6 sidewalk libraries. So the children and the parents, they can actually go to the little sidewalk library, take a book, and leave a book. So we just want to definitely make sure that the reading material and resources are in the community or in the neighborhood.
So do they have to come up with their own materials? Is somebody providing the materials for these reading captains? Like, how does that work?
So to become a reading captain itself, I actually facilitate those workshops. Quite sure Gary do too. We get all the resources and materials through the library, through the Read by Fourth Library.
Okay.
And, you know, the work that we do, we just go out, we engage with the community, we set up the workshops, and we actually have people come out, and we do the 2.5-hour training. And after the training, they become reading captains. They get the nice shirt that Gary is, the swag that he's wearing. And we meet every month. So my thing is a coalition of one of the things that I'm pushing for, because I like to do male engagement, male involvement. You know, one of the things I'm pushing for is 100 men to become reading captains before the year ends.
Okay. All right. So this is a program that involves people in the community to help kids learn how to read, right?
Yes, it is to provide that type of resource, but like I said, we're not actually reading to the children.
That's right.
We just want to make sure we're putting the resources out in the community, because like Gary said, it starts at home.
Okay.
You know, the parents are the first teacher.
Okay. Yeah. And so as a reading captain, your job is to what, Gary?
Your job is to share information and resources so that we can basically eventually hit a critical mass where I like to call it the early literacy gospel is in every neighborhood on every block. So it's really it's sort of based on block captains, right? Philly has the block captains program, you know, for many years now. We just want to take that idea and use it specifically for literacy. So it's really about raising that consciousness in our local communities about how important this is for our kids and the future.
Okay, and what does the training of the reading captains involve? What does that training involve, Dorian?
So the training is, like we said, we just get the community, the parents, you know, whoever wants to be a reading captain, they come out. We go through a 2-hour little presentation, talk about how to get involved, ways to be involved, set your own initiatives. Like Gary was saying, even with the block captains, during the summer, when these blocks have these block parties, and there's a block captain, reading captain on that block, they set up a resource table, and we give them out free books. So this is one of the things that I really like about it, because at all my years going to block parties, nobody never was giving out books.
Yeah.
At a block party.
Okay.
And at a block party, you're going to always have what? More kids in attendance. So now I get to see like a whole, you know, I was at one block party in West Philly. The reading captain on that block, she had like 200 books out. Within 3 hours, there were 200 books.
Sure.
And actually seeing kids sitting down on the curbs reading books. So that's you know, that is something that is beautiful. And moving forward, like Gary said, this is something that I would like to just see move forward, because ain't nobody going to teach our kids but ourselves.
All right. So tell me about the numbers that people can call, the websites they can go to in order to learn more about the program and become a reading captain?
Okay, so my name is Dorian Harris. I will be putting together another, well, I really want to push one month to month because, like I said, my goal is to get 100 men, but when I do my reading captain workshops, it's going to be open to both male and female. And my number is 267-559-5357. This is especially for all you men out there. You can start calling me now or texting me. I will take your name, your info, and I will be reaching out to you.
All right, all right. And is there also a website? Can people go to the Free Library of Philadelphia website to learn more about it?
Readbyfourth.org would be the best gateway to do that. They've got tons of information on there in terms of they've got tons of information on there about resources and then all of the latest workshops that you want to.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for coming and joining us in studio this morning. Thank you both. Dorian Harris, of course, works for the School District of Philadelphia and Net Community Care Office of Community Engagement. Also, Gary King, who is a literacy advocate working to connect local residents with literacy-specific volunteer opportunities in neighborhood public schools. You can go to readbyfourth.org to learn more about it. You can also call Dorian personally at 267-559-5357. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming in this morning and joining us on WURD. We're going to go back to the phone lines, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning show. Again, readbyfourth.org. That's where you can learn more about the program that they were talking about on this morning show. You want to stay tuned, too, because we got some giveaways. We got some tickets for the event tonight with Benjamin Crump at WHYY. We got some tickets for that, and so we want to make sure that you can get out to that as well. That's going to be at WHYY from 6 to 8 at 150 North 6th Street. 150 North 6th Street with Benjamin Crump. So we got some tickets that we're going to be giving away for that. So make sure that you stay tuned for that as well. We're talking about a number of things this morning, including our top 3 stories, which are story number 1, a black security officer at a Wisconsin high school was fired for telling a student who was also black to stop calling him the N-word. Cher has stepped up. Yup, that Cher to say, you know what? If you sue, I ain't mad at you. Matter of fact, I will pay your legal fees. Story number 2, President Trump reportedly decided to reverse plans to hold the Group of 7 summit at his Florida Gulf resort after Republicans told him they would not be able to support his decision. And you know what? Here's the thing. Why y'all wait till now to tell him you couldn't support his decision? Why y'all wasn't telling him that when he was locking up kids on the border? Why you wasn't telling him that when he had when he was saying that you know, we're going to do a Muslim ban and ban people from coming here based on their religion? Why weren't y'all doing that when he was saying that African countries are crap holes and all Haitians have AIDS? All y'all had to do was stand up and say, you know what, we can't support that, and he would have stopped. But y'all wait until now when it's something that really, you know, I mean, it's corrupt on its face. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, in the scheme of things, does it matter as much as having little kids locked up in cages, crapping on themselves without diapers, without access to showers, treating people like animals? Is it more consequential than that? Why didn't y'all say we can't support you when he said we're going to pull the troops out of Syria and leave 100,000 Kurd families, people who supported us, we're going to leave them right there and vulnerable to be killed by their enemies? Why didn't y'all say it then? Why you wait till now to say, oh, we can't support you? If you would have said that in the past, it would have stopped a whole lot of this foolishness from happening. So that's story number 2. And, of course, story number 3 is this. This weekend in Philadelphia, a 2-year-old was shot in the head and died. Just a day before, an 11-month-old baby was shot 4 times and lived. What are we going to do to address the fact that our babies are now being shot and killed in our communities? Let's talk to Diane from South Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Diane.
Good morning, Solomon. You know what? When I heard about that, I thought about Sugar Lady, and I can't believe how someone can be so cold and ruthless to shoot inside of someone's car, house.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, that baby never got a chance to go to pre-K, her first little his or her first little graduation, and then the wound that they left on the parents
right.
and the community. And then here we go again on Good Morning America, on the bottle capture, Philadelphia, 11-month-old baby shot, and then we had the other one that passed away. This got to stop. We got to do better.
Yeah, we must.
We have to scan every illegal gun in anybody's house, car, or whatever, and lock them up. And then we got to deal with the drug problems also.
Yep.
This is about drugs.
Yep.
So we know not a prayer, we need prayers, like you said. We need God right now.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Diane, I want to thank you so much for your call. Brother O'Kang from Chapel Manors on line 2. Go ahead, Brother O'Kang.
Yes, Hotel.
Good morning, brother.
And peace to you, yours, URD staff, and to your listening audience.
Yes.
Yes. Tell the Queen, welcome back, Yeah, it's good she's back now. Yeah. But, it's terrible how our young people are being shot.
Yeah.
Wow. We need to have weekly meetings, at rec centers, stressing, and the family need to come out to the rec centers and have at least, if not weekly means monthly meetings, and address the problems, that the youth have. Because if the youth, don't have God in their life, we really need to let them understand we love them and we want them to have God.
Yeah. Absolutely. Brother O'Kang, I want to thank you so much for your call. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to give away, that's right, 2 sets of tickets for the Benjamin Crump book signing. So stay tuned for that. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Word Radio and EcoWord wants to thank everyone who attended and participated in the EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit, featuring an EcoWord photo exhibit by Zamani Feelings, a performance by Ill-Fated Natives, and lightning talks with John Francis, Janine Kayembe, Joanne Douglas, Chris Benson L., and Zuline Mayfield. Thank you to our sponsors and livelihood participants: AmeriHealth Caritas Keystone First VIP Choice, Brown ShopRite, Serenity Solar, Clean Water Action, Citizens Climate Lobby, Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, New Voices for Reproductive Justice, and the United States Census, Special thanks to Bartram's Garden, the Wynkoop Foundation, and Broke In Philly, a project of Resolve Philadelphia. Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Hello, my name is Andrea Delzell, and I've been using a wheelchair since I was 5 years old. If I had one message for the general public, it would be relax. Some folks get really flustered around disabled people, so they just pretend we're not there. I've actually had waiters talk to my companion and completely ignore me. People with disabilities just want the same respect and consideration as everyone else.
This is a message from United Spinal Association. Download our disability etiquette booklet at unitedspinal.org.
Now, with more clarity, this is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com. Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and we are talking about what is happening in our community with our kids being shot. A 2-year-old shot dead in Kensington, an 11-month-old shot 4 times in Hunting Park over the course of this weekend. We got to stop talking about what they are doing. We got to stop talking about what everybody else is doing. We got to start talking about what we're going to do, because guess what? Each one of us is accountable. We are accountable for what happens in our community. Ain't nobody coming to save your kids. Ain't nobody coming to change your neighborhood. Ain't nobody coming to fix your house. Ain't nobody coming to fix your family. It is up to us. We are the people we have been waiting for, and we have to fix it. We're going to talk to our next guest, Isaac Samai. He is joining us. He and Pete Wilson have a program that they have been working on, and they have been working in their community for months now. And that is one of the solutions I want to talk about this morning. Isaac, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm doing well, brother. How are you?
Oh, we're fine. Thank you. I just want to thank you again for inviting us to share our model for the Philadelphia public. I know it's important to our community that we address these stray bullets flying all over the place and the stigma of fear that has permeated our community based on these young kids on the corner shooting the neighborhood up and causing much of our progress to be all but nil.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in terms of what is happening in our communities, for those who don't know, we now have a case where you have a 2-year-old and an 11-month-old shot in 2 different parts of our community. Here in the city of Philadelphia over the course of the weekend. You've been doing some work to address that. What is the model that you have adopted, and what exactly are you doing in the community, Isaac?
Well, let me say this. We've been working in the community since 2013. We put a plan together, myself, the Councilwoman Blackwell, who's been with us from day one, actually at that time State Representative Vanessa Brown, and the 16th District and the community concerned folks out of the 16th District. We want to address the issue of drug sales, 30-year drugs corner at 43rd and Penns Grove. And we confronted them on the corners, eyeball to eyeball, and we let them know that the behavior that they were operating from is not tolerable. We can't allow them to sell drugs in the neighborhood, intimidate the neighborhood. I'm getting to the point where the boom box is allowed in the neighborhood to 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. That kind of thing, where a constant flow of cars, buying products, prostitution, and those things were prominent at 43rd and Penns Grove. And Pete, being the ward leader and actually the secretary of the Democratic Party, him and I, our group got together at the Philadelphia Master and put a plan together. Actually, Councilman Jones was part of that planning aspect as well. So we addressed those kids on the corner. We let them know that behavior was not tolerable. We sympathized with their social condition, but still their behavior pattern was unacceptable. So when we talk them eyeball to eyeball, they would say, well, listen, we don't have any jobs. And our answer would be, we wouldn't lie to them and say, we came out here and give you a job. We're not going to tell them that. We're going to tell them the truth. We told them that you left the classroom early, and when you left the classroom early, you made a decision that you want to sell drugs or whatever, however you want to survive. When you made that decision, that impacted our community. Our community has people that have been living there for years, paid for the houses, senior citizens. Spent their life paying for the house, and now you're on the corner selling drugs and intimidating those people. We cannot allow that to happen. The schools are still open. There's programs that you can go to the city, or city with, and find your way back into society. But this behavior pattern that we know ultimately is violable and causes murder, stray bullets flying up, is not tolerable.
So in terms of what you offered, because we only got a couple minutes, Isak. So in terms of what you offered to them, what you did as an alternative, or what you did as a follow-up to that. So you confronted them and you talked to them and you told them their behavior was not tolerable. What was the follow-up to that, and what was the effect of that follow-up?
Well, they pushed back. They wanted to say that they had a right to the corners and so forth and so on. But we the community, the elected officials, all the community, the police department, all the stakeholders for a healthy community galvanized themselves to the point and let them know that behavior was not going to be tolerated. However, there are programs, for example, the Office of Reentry Partnerships. People who have formerly incarcerated kids who have a problem with their record, they're there to help them. They have the RISE program, which is the reentry program. They have that available to them. They have GED programs available. There are training programs out that the city offers. You have to take advantage of those things. So we gave them those alternatives because they're there. So we wanted them to be aware of that, but the behavior on the corner, this ultimately what's going to happen, any of these drug corners, ultimately is going to be a shooting and a killing. It may not be 2019. It may be 2020, 21, but ultimately it's going to end to that.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking you these questions, you talk about the program being replicated across the city, or the method rather being replicated across the city. So you talk about confrontation. What else? Because the bottom line is confrontation is dangerous. And so beyond confrontation, and when you confront, did you confront by yourself? Did you have the police with you? Like, what is the method?
The method was we had at least 20 to 30 men. 20 to 30 men confronted them on the corner. The police department participated as well.
Okay, so the police were with you then. So it was 20 to 30 men and the police, or was it just 20 to 30 men?
It varied. Sometimes the police would be there, but most of the time the police were there. But sometimes the police weren't there. But we still will go out and confront these kids.
Okay, and so after the confrontation, then what?
Then we began to galvanize the community. Initially, we galvanized the community. We had meetings in people's houses. Right now, what happened when we first went down to 43rd and Pleasant Grove, there was no community organization. But right now, for sustainability, we have West Belmont Civic Association. That was formulated after we confronted the people. We began to galvanize the good people in the community who were not going to go along with the status quo. So let me say this, Simon. When we left 43rd, it took us 20 months to clean up 43rd and Pleasant Grove. But when we went past there, I'm saying Christmas 2015, you know what we saw? The kids playing in the street. The mothers had kept their kids from saying the quality of life completely changed. When those young kids got off the corner, and the blighted houses are now being rented and sold. That is the repercussion of getting these guys off the corner. So the sacrifice is worth the effort. It does take courage. It does take commitment. But we've been doing it for over 6 years.
Okay, all right. So what we need to do is, Eastside, we need to circle back with you so that we can get really a concrete idea of what it is that you did in order to make that happen, because if it is something that's working, we need to try to replicate it across the city, but we need more of a concrete idea of what it is that you did and how you followed up and how you worked with these other offices, right, like Janie Blackwell and your state representative there and others there as well.
Let me just interject this. Right now, we're on the commercial corridor, which is 41st and Lancaster. We cleaned up 43rd and Pleasant Grove, 41st and Paris, Howey and Reno, Howey and Paris. The crime rate, if you go study the crime rate in that area now, it's plummeted 50 to 60%.
Well, I think that's a wonderful thing. Give us a number we can give to people to get in contact with you guys to learn more about what you're doing.
215-694-8885. 8538.
All right. Isaac Samaye, of course, working with Pete Wilson out in that area as well. We want to thank you for what you're doing, brother, and thanks for joining us this morning on WRD.
Thank you, Sam.
All right. So we're giving out some tickets, too. So caller number 3 gets them. 2 tickets. And caller number 3 and caller number 4 gets them. 2 tickets for a event tonight. You also get a copy of the book from Benjamin Crump, Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Colored People. Caller number 3 and caller number 4 get 2 tickets and a copy of the book to see Benjamin Crump tonight at WHYY at 150 North 6th Street for an event where he is going to be doing a reading from his book, Open Season. That's right, Benjamin Crump, the nationally known attorney who has worked on every case from Trayvon Martin to Botham Jean, where black people were killed unjustly. He has a new book, Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Colored People. Let's get caller number 3 now. WRD Radio, who's this?
Viola.
Viola, guess what?
I'm calling number 3.
You are calling number 3. You get 2 tickets to see Benjamin Crump tonight at WHYY for his new book, Open Season. What's that station that just hooked you up?
WURD.
All right, Viola, hold on. We're going to go to caller number 4 now. WRD Radio, who's this?
Brother Purnell.
Who is it?
Brother Purnell.
Purnell. Well, guess what? You are caller number 4. You get 2 tickets to see Benjamin Crump tonight, along with a copy of his new book, Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Colored People. What's that station that just hooked you up?
WRD.
All right, hold on, man. So we got about 1 minute left. So I tell you what, we're going to take a couple of calls. We're going to take 3 calls? We're going to take caller. We already got, okay, we need another caller? Okay, is on the line. Okay, let's go to Gwen from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Gwen.
Hi, Solomon.
How you doing?
Yeah, excuse my cold.
That's all right.
I know we don't have much time. But Solomon, what I did notice, and I've lived in Philly all my life, is that when they started talking about the safe injection sites, it seemed like Philly exploded with drug dealers coming from everywhere. We gonna sell this illegal product. They can take this illegal product, walk up the steps, and shoot openly in this safe injection site. Probably every drug dealer on the East Coast came right to Philly. And I've never seen shootings every single night. It's drawing them. But they want to make that money.
Sure they do.
Unfortunately, they don't care who gets hurt in the process. They cannot open up those safe injection sites.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you, Gwen.
Okay.
Thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's get Thelma from New Jersey. Nope, we can't get Thelma from New Jersey because our time is up. I want to thank everybody who joined us on today's show, including all of our guests, including, let's see, nationally renowned civil rights lawyer Benjamin Crump, lawyer and critical race theorist Dr. Tim Golden, neighborhood activist Isaac Samaye, and of course from the Read by Fourth program we talked with Dorian Harris and Gary King, and Gary brought in his son. He was adorable. He was in here playing with trains the whole time. We appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for all of you who called in on today's show. And now for Kawesa Mathis and everyone here at WURD Radio, I am your host Solomon Jones saying tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.
This hour was brought to you by Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. Visit enontab.org. Enon, a place where people encounter God.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Helana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager.